Honorable members, Madam Speaker.
Prayer.
Almighty God, who in your infinite wisdom and providential goodness have appointed the offices of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of humanity, we beseech you to look upon with your abundant favor these your servants, whom you have been pleased to call to the performance of such important trusts in this land. Let your blessing descend upon them here assembled, and grant that they may, as in your presence, treat and consider all matters that shall come under their deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the good of those whose interests you've committed to their charge. Amen.
Item 2 on the order paper, communication from the chair.
Honorable members, I want to welcome you to this afternoon's sitting. Yesterday, the Uganda National Examination Board, UNEB, released results of the Uganda Certificate of Examination, UCE. We want to congratulate the students, the candidates, upon achieving the education milestone, and we wish all of them the best in their subsequent endeavor. We also want to commend UNEB for the good work they've done. It has not been an easy one to move from the old curriculum to the new one. We want to congratulate and thank UNEB for the good work they have done. And we equally want to thank the Minister of Education and Sports, the parents, the guardians of these candidates for prioritizing education. And we need to prioritize education. Once you have a nation that is educated, then you have a very good nation. Honorable members, on Sunday, 16th February, the country will be commemorating the Archbishop Janan Loom Day. It marks the day in 1977 when the Archbishop Janan Loom was killed. We appreciate His Excellency the President, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, for recognizing the role of our national heroes, such as Janan Loom, whom we are celebrating on 16th. Let us use this commemoration of this day to reflect on the values of Janan Loom that he stood for, notably the personal liberty, the human dignity, equity, and equality. We will hopefully receive a statement from government on that commemoration of that day. Honorable members, I will invoke Rule 25(1) of the Rules of Procedure of Parliament to vary the order paper to accommodate a motion by the Minister of Internal Affairs to withdraw the Forensic Evidence Bill 2024 immediately after communication. I want to thank you. I knew Seungo would stand. Yes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the good communication. And I'm happy one of the ministers of education, two of them are
Two
here.
of them are here.
They are here. We thank you for releasing the results. But it's very, very important. The new curriculum is supported, and we had issues here, but we went on with it. But the biggest challenge is parents not knowing what their children got. What did they get? And that's about educating the masses. So we are seeing every child got, is it result 1? And I have been talking to my wife. She's a nursery teacher. She said this time the results are similar to the way we give results to our children in nursery school, because we give them BA. So I've just started. Let me. So with the new curriculum, with the results, and what I said yesterday, thank you, Mingo, here, we need to know what is the grading. We don't need to hide that. And Madam Speaker, we know education. We taught. We have not seen the new curriculum for A-level. Curriculum is not just introduced in any form. We want to know what are the A-level students going to study after the results that were released yesterday. Where are the books? NCDC is quiet. Ministry of Education is quiet. But students are going for A-level after this new curriculum. However, what we are seeing in the public is that schools have developed a method of showing how they performed well. I've been hearing already, Madam Speaker, school said, our children got 600 A's, 700 B's, there was no C. So now they have developed another method of showing how they beat other areas. So what were you trying to cure? We need to be educated on this, Madam Speaker. But parents, the public must know the performance of their children in terms of grading. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Seungu, Shadow Minister. Can we hear from the Minister of Education? Minister, because that must stop the discussion on education. Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. And I really want to thank you for your communication, for bringing this matter very clearly, and for congratulating your NEB, Ministry of Education, and the entire country. Madam Speaker, number 2, I want to thank you and the entire House for approving this law, the new lower secondary curriculum. The approval was done on this floor. And I am happy from that time. We roll out from 2020. Much as there was interruption of COVID, but we managed to come to the conclusive end, and results were released yesterday. Madam, allow me say that this is competence-based curriculum. And assessment is based on the level of competence our students attain. And that's why we moved away from the traditional grading system to a grading system that speaks volume about the level of competence the learner attain over the years. Number 3, Madam Speaker, you recall there is continuous progressive assessment, which constitute 20% over time, 20 years. Then the summative, the end of exams, which is 80%, the one that was done at the end of year 4. So when this is put together, there is the new grading that you've seen according to, it's no longer distinction B, A, B, C, rather distinction and credit and what have you. We now have letters A, B, C, D, E. And this one is translated into the results according to the level. Result 1, result 2, result 3, and result 4. Result 1, for example, these are candidates who qualify to get a certificate. And this is result 1, thank you. Then result 2 is for candidates who do not fulfill the condition for the award of a certificate. For example, the minimum subject to be taken is 8 out of the 9. Some of the candidates might have not taken the 8 minimum subject. Number 2, the project work. Some of the candidates might have not completed the project work. So this falls under the category of result 2. Then result 3 are candidates who did not meet the minimum level of achievement of all the subjects. These are the ones that might have got E, because E is elementary, while A is exceptional, B is outstanding, C is satisfactory, and D is basic. So we can have,
Honorable Minister, just a clarification.
Yes, Madam.
When you say A is exceptional, when you're marking, do you give marks and say maybe somebody who has got from 85 maybe to 100 is the one who has got an A? A person who has maybe got from 74 to 85 to 84 is the one who has got a B? Is that, do you award marks when you're marking?
Madam Speaker, we have a lot of business today, and as if the minister wants to teach us something that has come after the time they had. I would pray that she says they are going to do something to educate the masses and parents on learning how the grading is carried out. But explaining our A, B, and what is he going to spend much of our time? That was some bit of laziness on their side. Head teachers have time.
Honorable members, we are the ones who approved that curriculum here. We did approve. All what we need is to understand. We need just to understand. I know something that comes, a new idea is always not acceptable easily. But what we need to do is understand the process so that we are able to explain to the people outside there. So, Honorable Minister, yes, we are going to give you time. You come back and take us through. Because we are the voice of the voiceless. We are the ones who can go and explain to our voters outside there. So will put you on the order paper, then you come and explain to the House.
Madam Speaker, thank you so much. I agree and oblige to your directive. This is a continuous process that we need to bring a paper, and I pledge to bring a paper next week in that effect. I thank you.
Thank you. We shall have the paper on Tuesday. We shall have the paper on Tuesday. Yes, Former Lob.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. We are already faced with very many questions. And next week will be too far. How about at least answering some of the basic questions tomorrow? For example, you know those days, even if they say no repetition of classes, at least sometime who has done very badly can repeat. Now, a person who has failed, where do we take that person? With the EEEE, where do we take the person? Cannot repeat. It is not going to be given chance. And they're asking us such questions. Asking us such questions. How do we answer?
Honorable Wall, I have already made a ruling to that effect. Next week is not far. We have a lot of business, like the way Honorable Seungu said. Yes.
Honorable Speaker, I'm hoping that the minister sees the predicament we are grappling with now. Because as legislators, we're getting numerous calls from parents, from students, from teachers, who are not too sure how this has been happening. And it's taken about 4 years now since its inception. I want to encourage the minister that even as we wait for that statement here in Parliament, something that should have been ongoing already, if it has not, maybe it needs to start with immediacy. Can you bring the parents, the teachers, the students on board to know what exactly this is about? Because parents are calling us, teachers are calling us, and they are wondering how was the grading done. I was actually shocked because I should be the one calling a teacher to help me understand. Meaning you have not brought the teachers on board, the parents, the students, I don't know where you have been for all these 4 years. So if it's not been happening, it needs to start with immediacy. Honorable Speaker, even the statement that will come to Parliament, as much as we need it with immediacy, I think it is not adequate. Ministry, you need to go to these schools. You need to interact with the parents, with the teachers, with the students, to know what this new curriculum is about. I was actually shocked that many parents, many teachers, many students are not aware. We need to fix this.
Honorable Minister, we'll wait for the report on Tuesday, but at the same time, you also need to engage your teachers on ground. You should have meetings with the teachers, with the DEOs, the PTA meetings, so that people get to understand. Honorable members, can you listen? So you need to give that information to the population on how the grading process is done, so that they come to understand. If I am not being put, I'm going to chase that those uncles of mine there and aunties, so that people understand. If I have a 2, result 2, why am I not being given a certificate and that kind of thing? Thank you.
Madam Speaker, I undertake to do that as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable next. What's wrong with the Honorable Kabana? What has he done? I have a busy yes, order paper.
But we raised an issue on contempt of Parliament yesterday. We don't know much about what happened with Honorable Kabanda.
Honorable Seunga, I've not given you time. Please. Next item.
Motion.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, this is a follow-up on the commitment that was made on this floor by the Ministry of Justice, represented by the Attorney General, on the prisoners on detention. And it was your order, Madam Speaker.
To put it on the order paper.
Yes, that the Attorney General, who had requested for, in fact, he said the next sitting he would be available to provide that list here. And up to today, we still have those long list of people who are incarcerated, the different categories, and the Attorney General is not moving this Parliament in that right direction. Relatedly also, Madam Speaker, this House was receiving briefings every week on the progress by the executive on implementation of the orders of the Supreme Court. It was an agreement here that would be updated on the steps that they were taking, and would be happy to receive from the Attorney General the latest. Given that we are reading so much, I'm sure you have learned, I have learned too, that one of the principal prisoners, Dr. Besige, is indisposed. An explanation has been made that he is actually on a hunger strike. And that does not speak well, because this House made pronouncement in regard to that matter, and several others who are in Karamoja, in Lira, different prisons. So would the Attorney General honor that commitment that he made to this House, that he would bring the complete list and then the status of each and every person who is detained and the steps that they are taking to ensure that they access justice, Madam Speaker?
And on the ruling, together with the one of the ruling of Supreme Court, so can you give us that status tomorrow? Yes.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. I must confess I did not clearly understand what is required, because he seemed to raise 2 issues. There was an issue that came from the Human Rights Committee about people on prolonged detention, and then the other issue was the enforcement of the Supreme Court judgment. Which one of the 2?
He's asking for both.
For both. Okay.
Yes.
You are saying I can respond tomorrow? Or
Yeah.
you want me to say something now?
You
I
can.
need your guidance.
Do you have the names with you as you are?
Right, Honorable
Council,
Speaker.
can you do it tomorrow?
Right, Honorable
Doug.
Speaker, on the first issue,
Daga, can you do it tomorrow? I don't want it to be ambushed like tomorrow.
thank you very much, Right, Honorable.
Yes. Thank you. Next item.
Motion by the Minister of Internal Affairs to withdraw the Forensic Evidence Bill 2024.
Honorable members, as I earlier on guided in my communication, I now want to invite the Minister of Internal Affairs to withdraw the Forensic Evidence Bill 2024 that is currently before the Committee of Defense and Internal Affairs. Honorable Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker, honorable members, I beg to move under Rule 141 of the Rules of Procedure to withdraw the bill entitled the Forensic Evidence Bill 2024. I beg to move.
Seconded. Seconded by Honorable Kabanda. by the youth, by the whole NRM side, by Esther, by Ogwang, by Honorable Kaduchu, by Chema Sweat, by Honorable Mujira, by Chairperson of Defense, by Prime Minister. You're not defending? By the Prime Minister, by Tungo, by Olanya, by Angura, by Museveni, by Isaac, by Eseno, Peter, Tom, Isaac, Chikube, Faith, Joel, Obama, Gerald, Macho, Margaret, Emmanuel, Linda, Chut, Led, and Honorable Katuntu, plus Honorable Nekesa, Honorable Alanyo, Honorable Milton, Joel Sebakali, not Joel's the Lope. You want the bill, and then all the elders there at the corner, the senior elders of this country. Genesis, Thank you so much. Honorable, would you want to tell us why you want to withdraw your bill?
Right Honorable Speaker, that bill, as you recall, was tabled here for the first reading, then it went to the committee. But in the course of the interaction with the committee and within our own consultations, we found that there are things that need to be aligned within the bill itself, but also which, if done, would substantially change it. So, and the only recourse was to request that it be withdrawn and then brought back for reconsideration.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Honorable members, I now put a question that the Forensic Evidence Bill 2024 be withdrawn from the House. Those in favor say aye, and the contrary nay. The ayes have it. Honorable members, the Forensic Evidence Bill 2024 stands withdrawn. Thank you.
Item 3 on the order paper. Laying of reports by the Leader of the Opposition in Parliament pursuant to Rule 35 of the Rules of Procedure.
Honorable members, yesterday I guided that the Leader of Opposition would table copies of his oversight reports for onward referral, and that is pursuant to Rule 35 of Rules of Procedure, and we would refer them to the relevant committees. I will now invite the Leader of Opposition, Honorable Joel Senyonyi, to come and lay the reports kindly read for us the report for which institution, then you lay different reports.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, I would like to lay a couple of reports, which, brief reports, I have read here, but it's good that there is follow-up, and as you guided, they'll be sent to relevant committees. The first report is an oversight report to Atiak Sugar Factory. That's the one that's so far been given 553 billion shillings. I beg to lay.
Thank you, please lay.
The second report is about an oversight visit I carried out together with shadow ministers today Biopharma Limited in Matuga, Wakiso district. That's the one that has so far been given 723 billion shillings. I beg to lay.
Thank you.
The third report was about an oversight visit to Rocco Construction Company. That's the one that has been given so far 263 billion shillings. I beg to lay.
Thank you.
The other report is about an oversight visit to Inspire Africa Coffee Factory in Tungamo district, which I read yesterday. The billions given are unknown so far, and that's captured in the report. Hopefully government will have occasion to clarify. The final report for now is about an oversight visit to Busoga sub-region on the drastic fall of sugarcane prices. I beg to lay.
Thank you. You had another one. Thank you, Leader of Opposition. The reports are accordingly referred to the relevant parliamentary committees, ministries, departments and agencies for action and report back to this House. And we are giving the committees, relevant committees, because they are going to different committees. The word relevant would mean that I will guide, because I'm going to write a letter to different committees. Thank you. Next item.
Item 4 on the order paper, Bill's second reading, the Occupational Safety and Health Amendment Bill 2023.
Honorable Minister of Gender, Labor and Social Development, would you move a motion?
Thank you. Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker and members, the Occupational Safety and Health Amendment Bill 2023 was read for the first time on the 9th January 2024, and this was referred to the Committee of Gender, Labor and Social Development in accordance with the Rule 129, subsection 1 of the Rules of Procedures of Parliament. The bill before you was drafted within the approved policy context of employment, namely the Third National Development Plan 3. Through the Human Capital Development Program, objectives of improving population health, safety, and management in order to reduce workplace injuries, incidents, and health hazard.
Honorable Minister, first move a motion, then you will give us the justification. First move a motion yourself, then you will give us a justification. You're moving a motion for the second reading of...
Right Honorable Speaker, we're moving the motion for the second reading.
Of what? Say the name of the bill.
Right Honorable Speaker, the motion is Occupational Safety and Health Amendment Bill 2023, and it's read for the second time.
Honorable members, the minister is moving a motion for the second reading of Occupational Safety and Health Amendment Bill 2023. That is the motion that the minister is reading. Is it seconded? Is it seconded? Seconded by Obama, by Emmanuel, by the whole side on this side, by Attorney General, by Honorable Kania, Honorable David, former CDF, by Honorable Echweru, Honorable Kaduchu, Prime Minister, the whole house, the Kabanda, Alanyo, Nekesa, by the whole house. Would you now justify your motion?
Right, Honorable Speaker and Honorable Members.
Honorable members, can I have your attention? You think it is easy to stand there and speak? Yes.
Right, Honorable Speaker, let me stand up properly. Right, Honorable Speaker and Honorable Members, the Occupational Safety and Health Amendment Bill 2023 was read for the first time on the 9th of January 2024 and referred to the Committee of Gender, Labor and Social Development in accordance to the Rules 129, subsection 1 of the Rules of Procedures of Parliament. The bill before you was drafted within the approved policy context on employment, namely the Third National Development Plan 3, through the Human Capital Development Program objective of improving population health, safety, and management. In order to reduce workplace injuries, incidents, and health hazard, as well as the proposed national employment policy. Fourth objective, to promote safety and health working environment. Honorable Speaker, honorable members, the OSH Amendment Bill is intended to address the prevailing challenges registered under the current law on occupational safety and health. The Occupational Safety and Health Amendment Bill 2023 seeks to address the challenges and gaps through the 5 principles, which include: 1, providing a clear process and responsibility for prosecution of offenders in courts of law. Expand the scope of the law to cater for all workplaces. Streamline powers of the ministers responsible for labor to make regulations. Remove inconsistency from the law and harmonize with other laws. Right Honorable Speaker, honorable members, since the approval of the principle of this bill in November 2021 and the first reading of the bill on the 9th of January 2024, consultations have been conducted with various stakeholders through the collective effort of Gender, Labor and Social Minister of Gender, Labor and Social Development Committee of Parliament, the Attorney General and various stakeholders. The bill has since been processed. Right Honorable Speaker, I would like therefore to invite you to pass the OSH Amendment Bill 2023. I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I now invite the chairperson of the Committee of Gender, Labor and Social Development to present the committee report on the bill.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I'm here to present the report of the Committee on Gender, Labor and Social Development on the Occupation Safety and Health Amendment Bill 2023. I beg to lay the documents on table. I beg to lay the report of the committee.
Please lay.
I beg to lay the report on the benchmarking meeting of the committee. I also beg to lay the minutes of the committee while processing the bill. Right Honorable Speaker, the Occupational Safety and Health Amendment Bill 2023 was read for the first time on 9th January 2024 and referred to the Committee on Gender, Labor and Social Development in accordance with Rule 1291 of the Rules of Procedure of Parliament. The committee scrutinized the bill in accordance with Rules 129, 2, 3, and 4 of the Rules of the Procedure and now ready to report.
Thank you.
Right Honorable Speaker, I would like also to clarify on some issue. Allow me to clarify that the Occupational Safety and Health Amendment Bill 2023 was tabled for the first reading, drafted following the old edition of laws of Uganda, that is the 6th edition, Occupational Safety and Health Act 206. The laws have since been revised. The committee processed the bill as tabled to enable proper flow while considering the amendment on the floor. On that note, Right Honorable Speaker, the provisions of the bill will be revised with the correct references in line with Section 8.2 of the Acts of Parliament Act, as per the revised OSH Act, Cap 2317 7th edition. Right Honorable Speaker, allow me to skip some of the areas like the background, because the Minister has already highlighted the intention of the bill. I will skip the objective of the bill, the defects, and how the bill is addressing the defects. On page 5, Right Honorable Speaker, we are looking at the methodology, and one of the methodology was the meetings.
Yes, procedure matter.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Before you raise your procedure, in the public gallery this afternoon we have a group of student leaders from the Guild Representative Council of Makerere University. They are represented by Honorable Kazibwe Bashir Mbazira and Honorable Malende Shamim. You're most welcome. Where are you? Students, where are you? Stand up. You're most welcome. Join me in welcoming them. Welcome to your parliament. They are here to observe the proceedings of this house. You're most welcome. Thank you for coming to your house. Thank you. In the public gallery this afternoon, we have a group of students from Madi sub-region, which include Obongi, Moyo, Ajuman, under the Madi Students Union. They are represented by Honorable Lero Tom Azam, Honorable Ababiku Jessica, Honorable Mamawi James, and they are here to witness the proceedings of this house. Thank you. Please stand up and we see you. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming. You're most welcome. Yes, procedure matter.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
I'll give you time and you greet them.
Right Honorable Speaker, we appreciate the communication of the Minister and the Chair. But Right Honorable Speaker, the Chair has said that the Minister highlighted, so she's skipping the defects. Yet the bill, the whole story about that bill is the defects. Because as we are listening, we must know the defects that informed the bill and whether the bill has addressed the defects. So we through your office, Right Honorable Speaker, would it be procedure right for the chair to tell us the defects that caused the bill to be tabled? Then we listen and see whether they have cured the defects. Thank you.
Honorable member, what the chair was saying, the minister had already talked about the objects of the bill, the defects of the bill. You had her reading. I think you're not yet here. You have just come. The minister read the defects of the bill, and the report is here. Yeah, it is a minister's problem that she's trying. It is not. You continue.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. The defects are copied from the bill as it is presented before Parliament.
Don't waste your time. You go ahead.
Okay. Right Honorable Speaker, I was on page 5, and I was giving the methodology. As you can see on that page, the meetings, the stakeholders are highlighted. We reviewed some documents, they are also highlighted. We had some field visits to some 3 companies, they are listed there. Then we had a benchmarking visit. The committee sent a delegation for benchmarking visit to Nairobi, Kenya, coordinated by Kenya Central Organization of Trade Unions. The delegation held meetings with staff.
Honorable Chair, the methodology, the meetings you had with the Minister of Gender, Labor and Social Development, Office of Attorney General, Federation of Uganda, it doesn't cost you much to tell us whom you met.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. The committee met with and received written memoranda from the following: Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development, Office of the Attorney General, Federation of Uganda Employers, Central Organization of Free Trade Unions, National Organizations of Trade Unions, Platform for Labor Action, Uganda Small Scale Industries Association, Safety and Health Association of Uganda. Then we also met Dr. Ekwaro Ebuku as an individual. 6.2, we reviewed the documents, the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, the Occupational Safety and Health Act 206, the ILO Convention 155. We also had a field visit. We visited Land Industries Uganda, Saino Uganda, Mbali Industrial Park, Tembo Steel, Uganda Limited. We also had a benchmarking visit. The committee sent a delegation for benchmarking visit to Nairobi, Kenya, coordinated by Kenya Central Organizations of Trade. The delegation held meetings with staff of the Directorate of Occupational Safety and Health Services, Ministry of Gender and Social Protection. The report has been laid on table. General observations and recommendations. Limited scope of the bill in addressing the defects in the current OSH law. The committee observed that whereas according to the memorandum of the bill, the intention of the bill is to expand the scope of the application of the OSH law and provide for the changes at the workplace arising from the new dynamics and rapidly evolving sectors such as telecommunication and extractive industry, the bill does not effectively address this defect. For instance, the committee observed that the submissions of the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development, Federation of Uganda Employment, Uganda National Association of the Community and Occupational Health, that whereas the bill sought to provide a proposal on the new changes arising at the workplace from the new work dynamics, like new hazards in the telecommunications and extractive industries, the bill did not provide for internationally recognized OSH standards and practices, like the obligations of an employer to carry out safety and health risk assessment and health surveillance plans which evaluate health-related hazards and the workplace and monitor the safety of the health of workers and health of workers. Secondly, Ministry of Gender, Labour, Social Development and Uganda Small-Scale Industries informed the committee of the need to regulate OSH practitioners who are currently not being licensed under any law, and as a result, there is lack of standardization of OSH assessments and reports done at the workplaces. In addition, the Federation of Uganda Employers noted that the current provision of the first aid were archaic and did not provide for internationally recognized practices like an employer to put in place a first aid assessment plan. The committee recommends that the additional proposals should be adopted to form part of the bill so as to enrich the intention of the bill. Compliance with occupational safety and health standards by enterprises. The committee carried out assessment of occupational safety health status in selected factories during the consideration of the bill and observed that whereas certain workplaces had put in place safety and health measures for their workers, in others there were still gaps that needed to be addressed. The committee recommends that the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development regularly follows up on issues of compliance and effective implementation of occupational safety and health laws and measures in all workplaces. Absence of occupational health services for employees at workplace. The committee observed that the current law does not have provisions obligating the employer to provide occupational health services for his or her workers, like counseling, body fitness activities, stress management aimed at their wellness and mental health management. In many workplaces, long working hours and demanding job responsibilities have become the norm. The pressure to meet targets and the fear of job insecurity creates an environment that fosters stress and anxiety in the workers, which can contribute to unhealthy lifestyles and mental health challenges. The committee recommends that the amendment in the bill, which seeks to impose an obligation on the employer to provide occupational health services aimed at protecting the wellness of the workers at the workplace, be adopted. Delayed operationalization of Occupational Safety and Health Board. The committee noted that Section 10 of OSH Act establishes the Occupational Safety and Health Board, which is to give expert advice to the minister on matters concerning occupational safety and health and welfare at the working environment. However, 18 years later, the board has never been operationalized, which has resulted in two difficulties to execute key policy formulation. The delegation to Kenya, while on benchmarking visit, observed that Ministry of Labour and Social Protection, under its Directorate of Occupational Safety and Health Services, has a fully-fledged training institution on OSH, that is the National Institute of Occupational Safety and Health. Its mandate is awareness creation on OSH, training of workers and employers in safety and health, and carrying out research on matters relating occupational and safety health. It was also further noted that Kenya has an established National Council for OSH, which functions is to advise Cabinet Secretary on OSH policy matter, best practices on OSH, among others. The committee therefore recommends that Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development should fast track the operationalization of Occupational Safety and Health Board. OSH management information regarding numbers of OSH inspectors. According to OSH Management Information System, a database developed by Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development, there are 21 government OSH inspectors, compared to the many registered workplaces estimated to be over 8,000. According to Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development, in 2024 alone, 1,572 workplaces were registered. Therefore, the ratio of 21 officers to 8,000 workplaces is at 380 each individual, which is a heavy workload on the OSH department in Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development. This kind of trajectory has led to delay in service delivery, non-compliance to OSH standards by many of the employers. The committee recommends that Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development should recruit OSH officers who should be evenly distributed across the district to ensure effective implementation of OSH laws and measures in workplaces. Unregulated private occupational safety and health practitioners. The committee noted that currently there is a large number of private OSH practitioners who are carrying out OSH inspections and audits in the workplaces. The private OSH practitioners are unregulated due to the absence of an enabling regulatory framework, and this has led to many people carrying out OSH work that is unchecked, hence compromising OSH standards and practices and greatly exposing the workers to hazards. The committee recommends that the proposal on regulation and licensing of OSH practitioners be adopted. Right Honorable Speaker, under 8.0, there are specific observation. We are looking at the clause by clause. I don't know if it will not take a lot of time or we should go direct to the clauses. If you allow, I can read.
Thank you. No. She's now going to committee stage. She has finished reading the report. You want her to read to go to committee stage?
Right Honorable Speaker, at the report there is specific observations and recommendation, but they touch on the amendments. For reading them would mean doing it in a double way because there is already what?
Ethel?
Let me conclude on the report. In conclusion, Right Honorable Speaker, currently there is a big workforce due to high economic growth, increased industrial developments, and new technologies in the country. This has also led to an increased new risks, challenges, hazards that affect the safety and health of workers at the workplaces. The amendment of the current Occupational Safety and Health 206 seeks to strengthen safety and health measures and expand the application of the law. The committee recommends that the Occupational Safety and Health Amendment Bill 2023 be passed into law subject to the following proposed amendments. Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to report.
Thank you, thank you. Honorable members, Honorable Isha, I'm going to allow you. When somebody is reading a report and we interrupt, it distorts what comes out of unanswered. So it is always good to allow somebody finish, then you bring the procedural matter. So that when it is somebody out there who is reading, he reads in a way that it flows. Yes, procedural matter.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. The way the report is being read, she skipped very critical issues. Because when you go to committee stage, she will only be reading the amendments and her justification. She will not tell us the observations made. It's so important to us that the observations they made, they come to record. They help us get an understanding of what they found in the field when they went out there. So it is very important that we go through them so that it doesn't bog down the debate when you go to committee stage, or we don't pass things that will not have very well understood. I pray that she goes through the observations on those particular clauses where she recommends amendments. Thank you.
Do you have a report with you?
Yes, I do have the report.
Please, just check. Let's go together. 8.1. Yes, Ethel.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I move that, having received the report, we first make some inputs on what we would wish to be clarified on. Then later on, we get to committee stage, and that's where we shall be now getting close to close, asking for clarification on that matter. But there are some general inquiries we would wish to move. So my motion is that the House first
Debates
get some
the
clarity
report.
over some matters of the report and we inquire from the minister.
What
And later we proceed.
Hajat is saying, we should also look at the recommendations that have been made clause by clause. That's what Hajat wants. Yes, Kumi.
Right Honourable Speaker, now that this is an amendment bill, normally, in my view, it's very, very important that we go through the entire report. Because you might find that some of the issues are highly controversial, and people need to understand them, and that is exactly what brings out the debate. Because we must fix what we want to fix here, by the time we go for committee stage, we are simply passing what we have already agreed on. My view is that it will be proper that she completes the entire report, we understand it, so that we pass what we know. Committee stage, we may not have the time, because we shall be reading out the clauses one by one, and we shall pass what we may not understand a lot. Thank you.
Jonah? Jonah, not Jonathan.
Madam Speaker,
Hey.
the report is in our iPads. We have read the report. If we have anything to amend or to change, we go through the iPads.
He's called Jonathan also. He's called Jonah also.
Aisha, I'm called Jonah. Jonathan is here.
Jonathan? Honourable members, we have the report here, and the report is the report that the committee gives is basically to inform the debate. It is not part of the amendments. That's what the report. That's why the report is telling you we visit so and so, so and so, so and so, and it is not telling you that it is because we visit so and so. That's why we are making an amendment in clause A, B, C, D. So I would think, let's bring your ideas on the report that she has given, and then we look at clause by clause. Attorney General, what do you think?
Right Honourable, I'm in agreement with your guidance.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, as we are discussing the report, could we know from the Minister where is she getting the challenge to operationalize the Occupational Safety and Health Board, because it's one of the gaps we are seeing in this matter. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Isaac.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, as we discussed the report, we would also like to know what was the committee's input in terms of mandatory trainings for the workers. Because in this health occupational hazard, we cannot only point fingers at the employers, but I feel like the workers also must comply with mandatory annual trainings, so that in case of any form that anything goes in court for compensation, that will be the first area to check whether there was annual. And the report does not cover on that area the compulsoriness in terms of the employees' awareness.
Thank you. Minister, take notes of what is being asked. Jessica.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker, for the opportunity. I need clarity on one of the key issues raised in the report, that is the non-operationalization of the board. And yet we have just concluded our decision on rationalization. So I'll wish to know the effect of rationalization on the comment of the committee on the operationalization of the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Butambala.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. One of the biggest defects of the law, existing law, is that it didn't give due consideration to people that work from homes. I want to know in the proposal that we have, because you know, over time you're now popularizing cottage industries, people working from home, and even people that serve us. Does the report and the proposed amendments take into consideration people that have get occupational hazards while working from our respective homes?
Thank you. Lillian, then Silo.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. I would like to seek clarification from the chair on the unregulated private occupational practitioners. Right Honourable Speaker, I came across a private occupational practitioner assessing in a small private business that I have. They came with a letter purportedly to have been given by Ministry of Gender. So I wanted to understand who mandates these people to go and do the assessment. And my thinking was they report back to the ministry. So for me, this caught my attention, so I wanted to understand who pre-qualifies these people, and now that the report is saying that they are not regulated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right Honourable, just yesterday but one, a retired army officer, okay, private, I don't know whether they also call officers, came to me in the constituency and reported the suffering that he went through when they had been mobilized to go for national duty in Somalia. And the truck rolled along the way.
Honourable, both.
And the person nearly lost his arm.
You first started. Start from where?
Just yesterday but one. A retired UPF officer who told me his story that he was recalled back to service and they were meant to go to Somalia between 2020 and 2022. Unfortunately, along the Tirinyi Road, the truck got an accident. Many of them got injured. He was unfortunate because his arm got under the truck which was rolling on the tarmac, and it was nearly cut off. But by God's grace, doctors managed the situation. Today, he cannot even lift a cup of water using that hand. This man was given 3 million shillings. But remember, 3 million shillings. He can no longer do any work that is meaningful. And I have his document that I'm going to submit to you after this. Right Honourable Speaker, the real issue that I want to bring out is that in this report, I have not heard from the committee as to how many of these people who suffer these injustices of occupational nature that you heard from. Because they are the ones who can tell you the real story. How many of them came before this committee so that they tell you the real suffering that they have gone through? I have also heard from a young girl who worked in the industrial area. She said that for her, they have decided now to lock her out. The Indians do not want to see her within their premises. did you hear from such people? So that they give you the real story that helps you to inform what we need to do in this law. I now want to say, one, Right Honorable Speaker, we need to see how we can put in this law the aspect of ensuring that entities provide the budgets for health and occupational safety, and it has to come through the law. That will be a good thing. Number two, the issue of recruitment should be a command that comes through the law. We are not just going to recommend to the Ministry of Gender, but it should be planted in the law. If we are saying that every district should recruit, and I guess this is a government bill. If it's not a government bill, let government allow that we should recruit people who are going to do this. And what are the functions of the board, the one which is doing the occupational safety work? We should be able to do audits to see whether people are not flouting what is in the law, so that those who are flouting the law, we withdraw their certificates.
First of all, have you established that there's a board? The law that was done previously, I don't know what could have happened. It said the minister shall establish the board. It did not give, through regulations, it did not give the number of the board members, and then the regulations were never brought to this house.
So, Right Honorable Speaker, those are some of the audits that this house should do. Actually, because that's our oversight work, some people now need to be arrested for failing to do what they are supposed to be doing. If you were supposed to establish a board, why did you fail to do that? Because that is the life of the citizens of this country. They need to survive. Somebody needs to be their voice. And if you are given work and you are not going to do it, there are many members of parliament here who can be ministers. Why are they not recruiting them to those positions? Yes, so, yes, even me myself,
Honorable Silo, instead of thinking of arresting ministers or whichever, in the rules that we are making, that we are going to go to after here, we have a provision where we are going to have subsidiary regulations. We will have a committee on subsidiary regulations that shall follow on the rules, on the laws that we have passed.
I think, Right Honorable Speaker, you would have given a New Year's gift to this country if we do that, because it will solve many, many problems. I'll be welcoming information after one submission yet.
But you're taking a lot of time.
The last one, because my interest is actually this subject. That's why I'm taking a long time, Right Honorable Speaker. When I look at the issue of the entities that are stubborn in terms of compensation, we must be able to input a section here which provides that if an entity does not comply with the requirements of the law regarding the occupational safety and what, then that person, that entity, they should revoke the license. That will put them in tenterhooks to deliver. Let me take the information from my sisters, starting from you. And then
Honorable Kavanda, then Honorable Workers.
Thank you.
Honorable Baka, after Honorable Kavanda.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, the information I wanted to give to Honorable Sairo is that what we are discussing is the Occupational Safety and Health Amendment Bill. What is raising falls under Occupational Act, so and Employment Act. So it's different. We shouldn't confuse the two.
I thank you for that information.
Honorable Baka.
Right Honorable.
Honorable Baka.
Right Honorable, he was giving me the information.
Baka.
Right Honorable Speaker, and I want to thank my colleagues for that concern. As he has rightly said, we are concerned with occupational safety and health. There is Workmen's Compensation Act and there is Employment Act. But when we come to the committee stage where we need amendments for remedies of the employer who has not complied with occupational health and safety, you are going to hear them. I thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you. Ntungamo.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, in support of the recommendation by the committee that occupational health should be incorporated in the law, I wish to remind all of us that we have employers who do not have even human resource departments, meaning that by incorporating it there, all employers will make sure they have those departments. People want counseling. People get jobs, but they end up leaving them because of several challenges. Having no such a department, someone wants a job, the employer wants an employee, but the employers cannot be retained. Yet there is competition for good talents in the whole world. You lose employees because you are not catering for them. So that will make Uganda one of the best destinations for employees, and we shall be able to maintain our talents and even attract talent from abroad. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Can I hear from the Minister first? Apolot.
Thank you.
Then Muvende.
Thank you so much, Right Honourable
Then
Speaker.
Tom.
Right Honourable, mine is on page 6, Roman 3, which is indicating that the recruitment agencies are only accredited and not licensed as demanded by the law. And when you look at 4.4, where the committee made recommendations, they were only concentrating on who should take the responsibility of providing the licenses to such institutions. My proposal, Right Honourable, is that since the law provides for it, any recruitment agency that does not have a license should not be allowed to carry on the duties, which is missing in the report. Thank you so much, Right Honourable.
Chair. Let me first get a chair's mind on that.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. I think the Honourable has gone to the employment amendment bill. That is not part of the OSH bill. Maybe allow me to respond to some of
Honourable
the
members, we have the employment bill and we also have the OSH. So let's not mix them. Let's first look at this.
Right Honourable, allow me to inform members that this is an amendment bill. The OSH law is very comprehensive with a lot of details, but we are handling an amendment bill which had specific areas, sections they wanted to amend, and that's why we have responded. But if you go into the OSH law, you'll find that all the details are there. And some of the issues that have been asked there, they are to do with workman's compensation. Secondly, a member also asked about that did we consult other people who have ever been affected by OSH at the workplaces, like accidents and so. You know the procedures of Parliament, Right Honourable Speaker. The fact is we advertised in the papers to call upon all members who want to submit. So we listed those who came, who responded and came. So we don't know those who are out there and have issues. Another thing which was raised is the trainings. The trainings are also provided for. That's why even workplaces have committees, joint committees of staff and management that oversee the activities concerning OSH at workplaces.
Actually, when you look at section 73, it looks at the training.
I remember also raised the issue of assessment of workplaces in a small place. We mentioned that there are some inspectors of the Ministry of Gender. However, we also mentioned that there are those private practitioners out there doing the job. That's why we're saying, because they are going to industries, they must work with the ministry, and we have made a provision, a new clause, to get them regulated so that even if they are doing their work, they are doing it in consultation with the Ministry of Gender. And another issue which has been, I think those are the areas they have touched. Yes, you talked about home workers. The law applies to every workplace. all labor laws apply to every workplace. Even if it is your maid who gets a problem, the laws cover them. They can approach any labor officer or government or anywhere. The laws apply to everybody.
Dr. Olme.
Yeah, thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. The chairperson of the committee, I wanted the attention of the chairperson of the committee, whether they looked into other workspaces where there are safety or even hazards at within the occupation spaces, such as the councils, district councils, sub-county councils, where we see fights, people hitting each other and going away with wounds. Parliament is one of these spaces.
Yes.
Yeah, while we are here in Parliament, who is responsible for us? For instance, if at all we get in trouble at work, within the councils, and so on. Has the committee addressed itself on these spaces as well? Thank you.
If somebody is coming to work in most workplaces, then gets an accident, that person will be compensated under the workman's compensation. Those people are provided for. And I'm sure even at Parliament, if we got an injured here, we are supposed to be taken care of. But Honorable Ulume has widened the space to people who are fighting out there, fighting against each other. Those ones become criminal issues where you need to report to police.
Thank you. Oza?
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity. Thank you very much, Chair. Madam Speaker, West Nile has been invaded by illegal gold miners. Others are in Metu Hills, others in Terego, others in Yumbe. And more often than not, these people do not follow occupational safety rules. No helmets, no gloves. They enter into tunnels where there's a lot of heat. And when they come out, they become sick. Still, they are not being catered for. So all this will be put into consideration. Thank you very much.
Are those people employed to do that, or they go willingly?
Right on, Speaker, they are illegal. They are illegal. Those are illegal gold miners.
If they are illegal, then honorable members, we need to move. Yes.
Thank you. One clarification from Minister, and I'm happy she's coming up. Can the Minister clarify to us what exactly made it so difficult for them to operationalize the law that is in place, and give us comfort that the amendments that you're going to make will make it easy for her to operationalize the law that you're about to amend?
Lob. Honorable Minister, first word for Lob.
Honorable Speaker, I think we need to get commitment from the Minister. For over 10 years, there's been no regulations. We don't know why. And yet this is a critical requirement, because that's one way of showing that as government you are committed to implementing these laws. Can we get commitment? Because we are here, we think that this is a good law. There's even no minority. I was consulting my colleague, the Shadow Minister for Gender, and she told me in the committee they were moving in sync, because these are matters that are for the good of everybody. So now that we are committed to bettering this law, can we get commitment from the Minister that as soon as, I don't know, you will commit to us, the regulations get to come? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Honorable Minister. Hey, that was Mobende.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity. I want to appreciate the committee for the report. But my concern, Right Honorable Speaker, as we plan to set a board that is going to cater for the operational safety and health at the top, we should also think about having these health and safety officers in the various workplaces. If we don't do that, then compliance will be very hard to all these that we are doing.
True.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Colleagues, I will first answer the question about the challenges of the operationalization of the law. Colleagues, the law was focusing on the workplace with more than 20 workers only. The amendment to this makes the law apply for all workplaces. And the trainings are catered for under the law in section 13 of the old law. The issue of the board, Right Honorable Speaker, colleagues, we know very well that apart from before the rationalization, there are also those other boards that were supposed to take place to be established. But this particular one, Right Honorable Speaker, we did not have the money to operationalize the board, and the advisory is not standing board. So due to financial implications, we have not been able to have the board in place. The member asked about the question, the person who suffers from the injustice at the Workers' Compensation Act addresses this issue. The OSH is still centralized, especially for those who are asking about the district, why it's not decentralized to the district. The OSH is still decentralized, hence we are using this at the district. At the moment, we are using our labor officers to handle most of the disputes affecting the staff of the local government. And also industry staff still apportion them to work with the labor officers at the district level. There was a question about the inspectors. We have limited numbers, that is true. Your Excellency, Right Honorable Speaker, the issue of the wage we know very well. We are not in position to have this, but if we are given the opportunity, we'll be able to have as many inspectors as possible. But we are able to work with the ones we are having so far, who are in the major industrial regions.
Right Honorable. Right Honorable. The issue of the regulation, Honorable Minister, the law wanted a commitment on the issue of the regulation, that if we pass the law today, how fast can we have the regulation? Since in the last 10 years, we've not had a regulation.
Right Honorable Speaker, we commit that we shall have the regulation in place at least within the 1 year.
10 years, 1 year. No.
Do we have something we are trying to chew, Attorney General? Do we have something we are trying to chew in this law?
Right Honourable Speaker, on the issue of regulations, I fear that we are jumping the gun, but when it comes to discussing clause 118, on which our two sides have not agreed, our proposal was, among others, that a proposal for regulations can be sent to the sectoral committee to sieve it and make adjustments before it is passed, and that may require a particular time. So I was thinking that that particular area be discussed when we get to looking at clause 118 of the bill.
No. You know, Honorable Doug.
Incidentally, it is 118. Yes.
Doug.
Yes.
What we are saying, when we pass this law, do we expect regulations as soon as possible? Because it has been there.
Right Honourable Speaker, I do not want to commit on behalf of my colleague, but this is what I can say, because the Honourable Minister would have to work with the Attorney General's chambers. We should have this done at most within 4 months.
What does clause 118 say?
118 talks about the minister establishing regulations and whether he's required to table them in Parliament for approval or not.
Clause 118 of which law? This one?
Yes, the occupational safety.
We have not seen a clause 118. In the Parent Act, unless if you're talking about
I'm looking at the bill. 118 of the bill, which is 119 of the Act. The numbering changed. 119 of the Act, which is 118 of the bill.
Honorable Minister, we will give you 3 months to have the law in place. Because if you have a defect, you have a problem that you need to solve. Immediately we pass the law, it is assented, you go and work on the regulations.
Much obliged, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Huh? Lopez asking you, what have you committed to? That in how long you'll bring the regulation?
Right Honorable Speaker, we are committing that in 3 months we shall be having the regulation in place. Thank you.
Honorable members, if you agree with us, if we pass that regulation of on the legislative scrutiny, we are going to get members to make a follow-up on these regulations, and we'll even name the members tomorrow, so that we now see. I put a question that the Occupational Safety and Health Amendment Bill 2023 be read for the second time. Those in favor say, and the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
The Occupation Safety and Health Amendment Bill 2023, Bills Committee stage. Clause 1.
Chair.
Madam Chairperson, Clause 1 is amended. A, by inserting immediately after paragraph C the following. D, by inserting the following new definitions in the appropriate alphabetical order.
Can we come back to that after, in case on interpretation?
Okay.
We stand over Clause 1 on interpretation.
Clause 2.
Clause 2, there is no amendment. I put a question.
Madam Chair, on this Clause 2, which seeks to amend Section 9, it reads that an inspector may, in consultation with the Director of Public Prosecution, prosecute, as the case may be, before a court any charge, information, complaint, or other proceedings arising under this Act or in the discharge of his or her duty. My question with this is, the Minister should clarify, what is the intention? Is the intention that before the inspector prosecutes must get permission from the DPP? What are they trying to cure here? Because this is about the prosecution powers. And then two, in the Mother Act, these powers were limited to prosecute before a magistrate's court. And then under Clause 2, it was also provided that you could not challenge when a charge is brought at the instance of the inspector, you would not charge. So why are you doing away with that provision and now making it wide for the inspector first to now go to any other court, removing the limitation around the magistrate's court? But also the wordings here appear that this provision of the DPP can be dispensed with, because he's saying the inspector may. in consultation. So it leaves that discretion to the inspector.
Chair, we have not gotten exactly what he was mentioning. Maybe you can repeat again.
Attorney, did you understand? Where the law says that before the inspector prosecutes, he must get permission from the DPP. But then the question is, what qualification is the inspector? Does he have the powers to prosecute? I mean, yes, to prosecute. And how do you go and get the powers from DPP for you to be able? Because now when you read in the Parent Act, Section 3, who is an inspector, the appointment of inspectors, subject to any written law relating to the appointments of a person to the specific service, there shall be appointed commissioner and any other inspectors as may be necessary for the purpose of this act. So an inspector will be appointed for the purpose of this act. However, you're saying in the Parent Act, put it, Section 2, in the bill, powers of an inspector to prosecute.
Chair, under the Principal Act, Section 9, the inspectors have been given powers to prosecute. And under subsection 1, an inspector may prosecute or conduct, as the case may be, before a magistrate's court any charge, information, complaint, or other proceedings arising under this act or in the discharge of his or her duty. And then under subsection 2, it says where prosecution is brought at the instance of an inspector or prosecution is conducted by an inspector, an objection to the competency of the inspector to give evidence as a witness in the prosecution shall not be sustained. Now, these two provisions are being dealt away with. They are replacing it with a new, as proposed in the bill under clause 9. But what they are introducing first is that they seem to be interested in giving the DPP a role which was not under the previous. But the way it is worded here, it does not cure that, because he's saying the inspector may in consultation, meaning there is no obligation to go to the DPP. I have a feeling that they wanted to cure that, because when criminal proceedings under the law, under Article 120, you know what the DPP does. It appears as if the intention was to bring the DPP, to take away the powers that may have been abused by the inspectors, so that the DPP has a role in the prosecution. But the way it is worded here means that the inspector can still actually prosecute without the DPP. That's the issue I wanted to raise first. Then secondly, is that in the Principal Act, the powers to the inspector was limited to prosecution in the magistrate's court. Now, when you do away with that, it's now you have given the inspector powers to prosecute in any court, including the court martial, by the way, if I may tell you. Yeah. So is the intention that now the inspector can actually charge me? Yeah. No, it's still a court, I believe. Is the intention now that when I've not managed my workplace very well and I've breached certain provision, the inspector can actually now say, I'm going to charge you in the court martial?
Madam Chair, if I have understood Honorable Dur well, in the first instance, the proviso intends to let the inspector consult with the DPP, because at any one time, you do not know the degree of the offense that arises. Some breaches may require the consent of the DPP. You know that there are offenses that cannot be tried without the consent of the DPP. So if you completely lock out the DPP and say that the inspector will prosecute without consulting the DPP, there will be a contradiction. I'm just stating my understanding of this. Now, the other one, permitting prosecution in any other court also goes to say that there are some offenses, because courts have jurisdiction. There may be offenses that may not be triable in a particular court in which the inspector has jurisdiction and can only do so in a higher court with jurisdiction. But let's not mix that with the court martial, because the Supreme Court has made a declaration to that.
You know, here it was only limiting to magistrates' court. It was limiting to magistrates' court. Yes, Counsel? Sorry, Honorable Minister.
Right, Honorable Speaker, even Counsel is actually, that is an reference. I trained to get to be, I'm a Counsel actually, yeah. But just to support the Attorney General, I wondered what Honorable Oduru wants. The law, if it is drafted in such a way that gives latitude, the word may, unless you think that that discretion will be abused, which you could state it. But a word may, in consultation, what would be the role of the DPP? Would it be the one to sanction? You give the prosecutor, the inspector, the opportunity to determine, as what the Attorney General said, to determine the fora, the jurisdiction, the offenses, and also, Honorable Oduru, there would be no any circumstances that inspector envisaged in this bill would have reference to the court's martial, because the offenses under court's martial are prescribed and they are not relating to workplace offenses.
Honorable members. Honorable members, the justification that has been given, you've had the justification. Honorable Oduru, are you satisfied? At least one thing you're sure, that it will not be court-martial, but it will be a competent court. And we are trying not to limit really to magistrates' court, because of the gravity of the matter may be higher than what magistrates' court may handle.
Chair, one of the observations by the justices of the Supreme Court is that when we come here, instead of clarifying certain situations, we leave it to be open. And in that judgment, court-martial has been recognized as a court. It is the jurisdiction that it's in question. They didn't say it is not. So when you leave the word court here, and court-martial is a court, it can, and I wanted that to be on the record. Secondly, if the Attorney General could actually tell us which offenses
assuming
are
we
here.
say a competent court, because that would depend on the what? You just put a competent court before a competent court.
Chair, I didn't want to go into that argument because that court also in some cases. But the point I wanted to raise is that if the intention here, for me, if you read carefully Article 120, my thinking and my interpretation is that no criminal proceedings, including even those ones in the court martial, can actually be started without the DPP. So here, if the intention is that you want to involve the DPP, the word may, I am uncomfortable with that. Because the DPP is the public guarantor of abuse by the executive. The DPP, that's the role. The Directorate of Public Prosecution was put there and said, so you shall be independent, so that in case the executive has some excess and wants to abuse, the DPP is supposed to guarantee that by saying stop, don't charge, or charge, something like
Do you
that.
have an issue with the shall?
Right Honorable, I like the eloquence of my colleague, but allow me say this. If you read the OSH, the bill as it is intended to create a mechanism to oversee and enforce safety within the health system. In essence, it's creating a kind of pseudo-disciplinary committee. I do not want to be quoted on those particular words, but I'm just using figuratively speaking. A court within a health system, okay? Meaning that there are certain things that can be handled within that system, within that health setup, without necessarily referring them to the DPP. That's why they are saying they are those that may be exaggerated and may require the consent or consultation with the DPP. That's why we should use may and not shall.
Thank you. Chair, this parliament has made pieces of legislation where we have given prosecutory powers to different individuals without even necessarily involving the DPP. We have done so, you know, under the Wildlife Act and other pieces of legislation. I'm not so sure, Learned Attorney General, what you want to achieve here. I'm not so sure. Either you give full prosecutory powers to inspectors, the way we've done with other pieces of legislation, or...
Honorable, let's not go generic. Let's look at what is specific here. You read what the law is saying.
Yes. And
no, you read it so that we...
Right, Honourable Speaker,
Clause 2.
The clause 2 says, powers of the inspector to prosecute. An inspector may, in consultation with the Director of Public Prosecutions, prosecute as the case may be before a court any charge, information, complaint, or other proceeding. And right on Speaker,
arising under the Act,
yes,
or in discharge
in the discharge of his or her duty. Yes.
As the case may
be. And right on Speaker, Chair, what I am asking the Attorney General to clarify and help is what we want to achieve here. Because this House has set a precedent. We either give full prosecutory powers to inspectors or require that they cannot prosecute before consultation with the DPP. Because this is neither here nor there. And that's the problem. So you just clarify what do we want to achieve? Because this provision here can be problematic. In fact, the discretion you are talking about is one which is subject to abuse. On what basis, for example, will the inspector use to consult the DPP? What would be the basis? That now, in this particular case, let me consult the DPP. Yeah. In this one, let me not consult the DPP. That's why we must be very clear. Either we give them full prosecutory powers, or the way we've done with the other pieces of legislation, require that DPP sanctions or consults. And we move.
Yes.
Right, Honourable Speaker. I do not like insisting on matters a lot, but on this one, Right Honourable Speaker, I'm calling upon my colleagues to understand my position. We cannot anticipate the kind of offences to be committed. For purposes of clarity, we can have certain aspects put in the regulations. Certain perimeters can be put in the regulations. Let me give you an example. Let me use an example, a hypothetical one. A doctor who deliberately kills patients. Yes, and injects them. I'm giving an example. Are you going to say you leave that to the inspector to prosecute? It does not require the DPP. So that's why we are saying, no, the offenses are light and heavy based on a particular case. That's why we should allow the regulations to stipulate which kind of offenses will require the DPP and which kind of offenses can be prosecuted.
Honorable Attorney General. Honorable Attorney General. They said an inspector may, in consultation with the Director of Public Prosecution, prosecute as the case may be. As the case may be. That is still discretionary. Even if we put shall, it will still remain as the case may be. What is hard? Don't we have trust in our DPP? Yes, Council.
Right, Honorable Chair. I think with the text being projected up, there are key issues there. The inspector, and then the provision for consultation with the DPP. And we all know the constitutional role of the DPP in relation to criminal prosecution. And then, as the case may be. As the case may be also offers that, you know, that's as case-by-case basis. Yes. It's not that the inspector will consult in all matters. Yes. And at all times. This is my understanding. And looking at that the provision as proposed there, I think it would be good that I had provoked Jonathan, Council Honorable, he's also a bus owner, to tell us what would be the subject of his concern with the use of may. But in all fairness, this is a better way to frame that, because you get an inspector, you don't want that inspector to overstep the mandate to prosecute on criminal matters. You don't want the prosecutor to overstep the mandate in criminal prosecution.
You will start cherry picking on what he thinks he should consult.
And unless this House feels that is not good, then you use the word shall. But exactly. If it is fair, you use may.
Yes, workers. Let me first hear from workers. Chair University.
Thanks very much, Madam Chair. I listened to my colleague and the Attorney General, but I want to give you a background. And that's why I'm coming in for shall. I had stated in coming in for this. When it comes to the regulations which they are referring to that they are bringing very soon, experience has shown us, including NSSF, Minister of Gender has never brought regulations. Let us tie it now and finalize it.
We are not in a market. What is your position, Chair?
Madam Chair, when we were interacting with the movers of the bill, the reason they brought this out is that on a number of occasions they have failed to win those cases because sometimes they are wrongly presented to the courts. That's why they now decided to amend to bring in so that they are able to consult with the DPP so that the cases.
So we must. Yeah.
So I agree we can go with shall.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, that now is more clear, and I would now propose that instead of the use consultation, we say consent, because that's what they do, consent of the DPP, not consultation, to cure what they are saying. Yes.
Chair.
Madam Chair, consent will almost stand the whole meeting. There are cases where, for example, provision of drinking water at a workplace is a simple issue which the inspector can handle. But there are those grave cases like where you are negligent, employer is negligent, and people are crushed by the machine. So they are different. So when you say consent, it means every time the inspector must seek for the consent. So I think shall would be okay.
Consultation. Let's
Right, Honourable Speaker.
Asuman, why are you making noise?
Looks like I'm defeated on this. I will begrudgingly concede to shall.
Shall, yes.
I will begrudgingly concede to shall and consent.
And what?
And consent.
Okay. AG. I put a question that clause 2 be amended as proposed by Honorable Oduru and further amended by Honorable Deputy AG. Those in favor say on the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 2 as amended.
I put a question that clause 2 as amended stands part of the bill. Those in favor say on the contrary nay. The ayes have it. Ekanya, you have crossed.
New clause.
New clause.
Insertion of a new clause after clause 2. The bill is amended by inserting immediately after clause 2 the following new clauses. Amendment of Section 10 of the Principal Act. Section 10 of the Principal Act is amended by deleting subsection 3. Insertion of Section 10A in the Principal Act. The Principal Act is amended by inserting immediately after Section 10 the following. 10A, functions of the board. The functions of the board are A, to advise the minister on matters concerning occupational safety and health. B, to advise the minister on formulation and implementation of policies, plans, programs in occupational safety and health. C, to set standards, guidelines of practice for safety and health practitioners. And D, to perform any other function as may be necessary for the purposes of this act. Justification. Section 10.3 has been incorporated under the proposed Section 10A, which provides for the functions of the board to standardize and regulate the work of safety and health practitioners.
Sir?
Right Honourable Speaker, I take note of and concede with new amendments proposed after clause 2 to stipulate functions of the OSH board to include regulations of the safety and health practitioners.
AG.
I concede.
I put a question that the proposed new clause stands part of the bill. Those in favor say on the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 3.
3, no amendment. You have an amendment on 3?
Yes. Right Honourable Speaker, clause 3. the bill seeks to repeal the word as far as reasonably practical. And I don't see its danger. If I may read, the parent law 13, it is the responsibility of the employer, A, to take as far as is reasonably practicable all measures for the protection of his employees or her workers and the general public from the dangerous aspects of the employer's understanding. I don't see the danger of this as far as reasonably practical. I don't see its danger. Because you take measures as far as it's reasonably practical.
But we don't want compromise on hazards. We don't really.
Because the way it stands now in the law, it gives latitude to the courts to determine what is practical in the circumstance and what is not practicable. But when we remove it, even what might not have been foreseen, every other circumstance would be blamed onto the employer. For me, I really don't see a problem with it the way it stands.
The employer must ensure safety. Must ensure safety. For instance, if you're in a petrol station and there is fuel that has spilled over, and you say, that's not my responsibility, and yet that can cause a problem. So you must ensure that there is safety here. You get it, eh? No, that's right.
Maybe, Chair, you would hear from the Attorney General. Do we
Yes,
presuppose
Attorney
that
General.
the employer should have been a demigod that must see everything? Because there are situations that might not be foreseen.
Right, Honourable
Hazards,
Speaker.
Honorable Aisha, hazards.
Right, Honourable Speaker. The reason they are removing the word reasonable, practicable, is to create strict liability on the employer.
Yes.
Because the word reasonably practicable gives you leeway to say, I could not afford or I could not manage. So they are squeezing you, no excuse. Yes.
I put a question that clause 3 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say and the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 4.
I put a question that clause 4 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say and the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
New clause.
New clause.
Madam Chairperson, insertion of a new clause after clause 4. The bill is amended by inserting immediately after clause 4 the following. Amendment of section 15 of the Principal Act. Section 15 of the Principal Act is amended by substituting for the words safety representative. Wherever the words appear, the phrase safety and health representative. Justification to include an aspect of health in the reference to the representatives of safety and health at workplaces who are currently referred to as safety representatives.
AG.
I concede to this.
Minister.
Right, Honourable, we concede.
Thank you. I put a question that the proposed new clause stands part of the bill. Those in favor say and the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 5.
Chair.
Clause 5 is amended. Amendment of section 16 of the Principal Act. Clause 5 is amended A by inserting immediately before paragraph A the following. In the head note, by inserting immediately after the word safety, the words and health. B, in paragraph A, in the proposed subsection 1, by inserting immediately after the word safety, the words and health. C, by substituting for the paragraph B the following. B, by substituting for section 2 the following. 2. The safety and health representative shall represent employees on the safety and health committee. D. By inserting immediately after paragraph B the following. C. In subsection 3, by substituting the words safety committee, the words safety and health committee. Justification: to include the aspect of health in reference to the committee of safety and health at workplaces, which is currently referred to as safety committee.
AG.
Insertion of the new clause after clause 5. The bill is amended by inserting immediately after clause 5 the following clauses. Insertion of section...
AG.
Right Honorable, we are in agreement.
That's a consequential. Yes.
Right Honorable, we concede.
I put a question that clause 5 be amended as proposed. Those in favor say and the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 5 as amended.
I put a question that clause 5 as amended stands part of the bill. Those in favor say and the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
New clause.
New clause.
Madam Chairperson, insertion of clauses after clause 5. The bill is amended by inserting immediately after clause 5 the following clauses. Insertion of section 16A in the Principal Act. The Principal Act is amended by inserting immediately after section 16 the following. 16A. Registration and licensing of safety and health practitioners. The minister shall make regulations provide for the registration and licensing of safety and health practitioners. 2. A person shall not conduct a safety and health risk assessment, safety and health audit, or any other assessments or audit required under this act unless the person is registered and licensed by the commissioner as a safety and health practitioner in accordance with this act. 3. A person who contravenes subsection 2 commits an offense and is liable on conviction to a fine not exceeding 1,000 currency points or imprisonment for a term not exceeding 2 years or both.
Honorable Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker, I take note of and concede with the new amendment proposed on clause 5 to include the aspect of health in addition to the safety aspect.
Thank you. AG.
We are in agreement, Right Honorable.
I put a question. Was this a continuation of that? The replacement. It's a new insertion.
Madam Chair, this is a continuation, replacement of Section 21 of the Principal Act. Section 21 of the Principal Act is substituted for the following. 21. Measures to monitor health of workers. 1. An employer shall put in place measures for
Yes. Continue. Have you finished?
Shall put in place measures for A. Monitoring the health of workers. B. Management of workers exposed or likely to be exposed to occupational hazards. and C, prevention of occurrence of occupational diseases and disease outbreaks. 2, for the purpose of this subsection 1, an employer shall have the duty to A, prepare and submit to the commissioner for approval a health surveillance plan for the employer's workplace. B, inform a worker of any health hazards involved in his or her work and the health arrangements that have been put in place to protect the worker. C, carry out pre-assignment medical examination on a worker where the assignment exposes the worker to danger. D, carry out medical examination upon termination of the assignment or employment of a worker where the assignment or employment exposed the worker to danger. E, carry out periodical medical examination on a worker based on findings from the medical examination of a worker on the recommendations of the Safety and Health Committee. And F, put in place occupational health services. 3, for avoidance of doubt, an employer shall bear the cost of the medical examinations required to be performed under this section. For purposes of this section, health surveillance plan means a plan put in place by the employer to monitor and assess the health of workers who may be exposed to hazards in the course of employment. Mental health services include assessment, diagnosis, treatment, care, counseling, or any intervention provided to the worker to promote emotional, psychological, and cognitive well-being of the worker. And occupational health services include disease outbreak management, wellness programs, rehabilitation of sick workers, mental health services, vaccination programs, promotional health services, and other services prescribed. Under this health surveillance plan, safety and health risk assessment, report, and any national health guidelines. Notification of occupational accident, disease, and incident. 1, an employer shall keep and maintain a record of an occupational accident, occupational diseases, outbreak, and incidents. 2, where an occupational accident or occupational disease outbreak occurs, the employer shall notify the commissioner in a manner and within the time prescribed by regulations made under this act. Justification: to ensure regulation of and standardization for safety and health practitioners, there is need to carry out occupational safety, occupational health and surveillance of the risks arising at a workplace and put in place measures to safeguard the health and safety of workers. There is a rise in risk related to lifestyle at the workplace, for instance, long hours of sitting and mental illness. So there is a need to have occupational health services to monitor the health of workers, to ensure that the commissioner is able to access information on occupational diseases and occupational accident for action.
I would love to hear from Attorney General, but also the Chair and the Minister. What measures, what sanctions do we have prescribed in this amendment to cater for those employers who do not comply with these enlisted demands? Are they strong enough? If they are there within, maybe you recite them so that we're able to know that they can stand and help us to make sure that people do what they are supposed to do. For instance, I would be happy if somebody is not complying, we revoke their license if somebody is operating. What measures? What sanctions?
Check section 102. Yes. Yes, Chut.
I just wanted to propose an amendment on registration and licensing, saying by the commissioner. I would have proposed that should have been the Occupational Health and Safety Board. ideally you cannot be licensed by an individual. There should be a body that is overseeing that practitioner. And we have the Occupational Health and Safety Board that is mentioned here. Secondly,
It should be a minister.
yes, but in this act, there is the Occupational Health and Safety Board. And that is what I thought should handle, not the commissioner. If the board is not there, then it can be the minister. But in this case here, there's a Occupational Health and Safety Board. The second issue, I want to also propose another amendment. We've provided that it will be the duty of the employer to inform the worker of the hazards at their workplace and the preventive measures to address them. However, this provision does not give a timeline, whether you're supposed to inform 1 month after employment, 2 months. So my proposal is that we should add a clause on it that this information should be provided within the prescribed time by the regulations, so that it is not just open-ended for the employer to inform at whatever time they wish to. Related to that also is medical examination after termination. There is no prescribed timeline. And I'm proposing again that we should put a clause within the period prescribed by the regulations. The standard practice actually is normally within 30 days, but you can have the period prescribed by the regulations. So I just wanted to propose those amendments within it.
AJ?
Chair, before the AG comes, the chairperson presented two. One, the insertion of a new clause, which we have not processed, and the amendments coming like from the Honorable Pia Chuti. I thought that issue should be dealt with standalone.
What we are looking at is the new clause.
Yes, but she also went ahead and also proposed an amendment purportedly under a new clause, but she's amending section 21. And that's why also some ideas have come from Achuti. So maybe we first deal with the new clause before we go to the amendment. And the record should correct that that's not a new insertion as they had proposed. If they intend to amend section 21, it should be reading amendment of section 21.
They're actually saying replacement of section 21 of the Principal Act.
Yes, which is an amendment. It can't be a new insertion.
So the other insertion, these are 2 in 1. Now, can we first split and first have the insertion, which was S16A, which you accepted already, and then we go to part B. I put a question that the proposed new clause stands part of the bill. Those in favor say on the contrary. The ayes have it. Minister, 21. Replacement of 21.
Right Honourable, we concede with the amendments proposed after the clause 5 on the registration and licensing of the safety and health practitioners.
Right Honourable, I'm requesting for purposes of clarity that Achuti repeats his concerns, so as I see how it fits in here.
Yeah, I was on 2B and 2D. It is providing that the employer has to inform the worker of any health hazards involved in his or her work and the health arrangements that have been put in place to protect the worker. My issue is that there is no timeline provided. And so I was proposing that we would add a clause saying that within the prescribed times, within the times prescribed by the regulations, so that there's a time period. The same also applies to D, which talks about carrying out a medical
Are we together there?
Yes, the second is also applying to, which is D, which is talking about medical examination after termination. And what we're trying to propose, it also doesn't give a timeline. So we're saying we also indicate that within the period prescribed by the regulations. so that after termination, there is a maximum period within which that medical examination should be done. Chair, we had jumped over what I had proposed, the registration and licensing by the commissioner. I thought we needed to discuss that, whether it should be the commissioner, the minister, or the board. Thank you.
Yes.
In response to what Honorable Achuti is proposing, my view would be that we simply say before commencement of the job, before you do the work, you should be told what to expect. So instead of referring again to regulations which may not come, because these days I don't trust most of the ministers when it comes to regulations. Maybe the minister here is good, but some ministers are suspicious.
Thank you. You see, sometimes legislation is not impregnated with many issues. And the reason why Parliament empowers ministers to make subsidiary legislation is to cater for some of these exigencies. And you would do us a lot of good if you really took the wise counsel to have regulations in place. The reason why, for example, the Honorable Achuti and others are concerned about this, ideally, matters to do with timelines are issues that can be adequately covered in regulations. But because we don't have a culture as a front bench of having regulations, it creates a very big problem. Now, this particular issue, for example, will keep changing. Circumstances and situations at workplaces keep changing. That legislating on time, for example, on this matter, which is a duty, the way it is worded becomes extremely difficult. So I think, Minister, if you really made a commitment on the issue of regulations, these are matters that can be effectively and comprehensively covered under regulations because they are circumstantial. The way this clause is worded is creating a duty on the employer, an obligation on the employer. So even it also follows that when it comes to certain timelines, circumstances may change, where you may require that flexibility is exercised through regulations.
Chair.
But Chair,
yes,
I'm worried for one thing. If we refer to regulations, somebody is employing somebody, and the minister has not made regulations, and we are referring to regulations which are non-existent.
Non-existent.
Do you see the gap? It is so huge, and we can't speak about it. So, right about Speaker and Chair, the best thing we can do is to ask that you, the employer, you do your part before the person starts with employment. Before the person starts their work, tell them what to expect. Then it will be easy. For me, I would think that is rather direct. And the Attorney General, being a good drafter, can draft a good piece to fit that particular requirement.
Right, Honorable Chair, what Honorable Silos is saying is a bit not very practical because circumstances keep on changing. Suppose a new machinery is bought, there are new hazards that come in. So we cannot simply make it a duty before commencement of job because new circumstances will arise during the employment time that might need the employer to update the employees on the hazards at the workplace. So I agree with Honorable Basarira that the regulations will take care of that. The regulations would explain how often and under what circumstances would the employer keep updating his staff of the new hazards that would be at the workplace.
You know, when you look at clause 21 on the Parent Act, look at clause 21 on the Parent Act. Section 21, employer to supervise the health of workers. It talks about the pre-assignment medical examination of workers before assignment of specific tasks which may involve danger to their health or that of others, then periodic medical examination of workers during employment, then the biological monitoring or investigation which may be necessary to control the degree of exposure and supervise the state of health of workers. I don't see why it is even being replaced. Why are we replacing what was better? This was much better.
Right Honorable, I do not think this is entirely replacing the old section. It is an amendment.
Read the heading. Replacement of section 21 of the Principal Act.
Yes, and I think some time back you realized that this was a mistake. The word replacement was a mistake. It should have been amendment of section 21. Not replacement.
Section 21 of the Principal Act is substituted by the following. Substituted. That's what the committee is saying, Honorable Doug. So, can we have this corrected? Is it a substitution, a replacement, or an amendment?
Right Honorable, my understanding of this is an amendment.
Chair, explain.
Madam Chairperson, as a committee, we expanded on section 21. That's why we said we are replacing it, because we expanded and gave more obligations to the employers in protecting the health of workers.
So you're substituting what was in the parent act, or you're amending it? I want it on record. Yes, no.
Right Honorable, I think the intention is to expand the obligations of the employer in this case. So maybe the draftsperson would help us. This is not a replacement, it is an amendment. It's an addition to what exists in the parent law. We are simply heaping more responsibility on the employer.
Chair, just tell me what you've added on what was existing and where. Is it after subsection 1, 2, or whichever? First tell me what you've added.
Madam Chairperson, we added for the health surveillance plan, we replaced, because we went up to 4. For purposes of this section, we even intended to interpret the words which have been used within this.
Which words? Chair, read for me.
Like under 4, health surveillance plan, these words are not used.
So you've added 4.
Yes.
On 21. Wait, let's sort out this. You've added 4 on 21.
Yes.
Okay. Let's add 4 here. Yes. Can we look at the Principal Act together with what is in the bill? The Principal Act, that is the employer to supervise health of workers. 1. Subject to any conditions determined by the Commissioner, every employer shall provide for the supervision of the health of the workers exposed to or liable to be exposed to occupational hazards due to pollution and other harmful agents in working environment, and this duty shall include A. Pre-assignment medical examination of workers before assignment of specific tasks which may involve danger to their health or that of other workers. B. Periodic medical examination of workers during employment which involve exposure to a particular hazard to health. C. Biological monitoring or investigation which may be necessary to control the degree of exposure to supervise the state of health of workers concerned. D. Regular medical examination for biological or other tests or investigation after termination of assignment which may cause or contribute to the future health impairment. 2. In any case, as may be prescribed by the Commissioner, any employer shall make adequate arrangements to provide occupational health service in undertaking to secure adequate health for workers and for other persons in the area under the influence of the undertaking. 3. It shall be the duty of the employer to inform the workers concerned of any health hazards involved in his or her work. That is 21. So where are we, which one are we adding? So on these first three, are we together with what you've
Chair, what the committee did, which in my opinion is a good job, they did a redraft of the provisions of Section 21 for clarity. But they have also added some other provisions in line with other clauses we have already passed or we are also going to pass. For example, the requirement to file with the Commissioner a surveillance a health plan, something like that. So this is a replacement which is in a better shape, but they have added certain things to it. So if you compare the 21 they are replacing and the 21 in the law, this is much better because it's wide and accommodates different situations.
And actually they have brought the definition which should be handled under interpretation. Like a health surveillance plan means a plan put in place by an employer to monitor and assess. Then you go mental health services includes, you get it?
In legislative drafting, there are certain interpretations that you interpret under the section, and we have done that many times. So this is also okay. For purpose of that particular clause, you interpret there.
So we agree that this is a new substitution. New substitution.
Right, Honorable, let us be careful. Substitution presupposes that you are removing the other one. No. We are amending, we are adding to what exists. Right, Honorable, give me the... Right, Honorable, if you read the 21, which you've just read for us, of the Principal Act. (21) of the Principal Act. Right Honourable, 21, 1A, B, C, and D are okay. Here the proposal, I read A. A pre-assignment medical examination of workers before
Yes, what you have read under 1A has now been redrafted under 2C.
To carry out a pre-assignment medical examination on the workers where assignment exposes the worker to danger. That is now on C. That is a substitution. Yes? Let's first finish from here. Okay, AG. So, AG, what is okay?
It is a substitution.
Okay. I put a question that clause 21 be substituted as proposed. Those in favor say to the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 6.
Chair.
Madam Chairperson, Clause 6 is amendment of Section 47 of the Principal Act. Clause 6 is substituted with the following. 6. Replacement of Section 47 of the Principal Act. The Principal Act is amended by substituting for Section 47 the following. 47. Safe and healthy working environment. An employer shall ensure that the workplace is safe and healthy working environment. 2. An occupier or owner of the workplace shall put in place measures to prevent exposure of a person to hazards. 3. An employer shall, within the time prescribed by regulations made under this Act, cause a safety and health risk assessment to be carried out. 4. An employer shall at least once every 12 months cause a safety and health audit of the workplace to be undertaken. Justification: to impose an obligation on the employer to carry out safety and health risk assessment which is informative of the likely hazards and risks at workplace. To impose an obligation on the employer to carry out safety and health audit which is a performance indicator for compliance to safety and health measures.
AJ.
I concede to this.
Minister.
Right Honourable Speaker, we concede to this.
I put a question that clause 6 be substituted as proposed.
Chair, clause 6B reads that the employer shall monitor. And I've extracted the operative word monitor, the noise, dust, etc. What the substitution seeks to do is to introduce two words, which is assessment, the periodic assessment, and then the audit. Those are two different things. Monitoring means that there must be a mechanism to see that daily either the temperatures do not exceed a certain level or the pollution or something like that. So I want to propose that the original draft under 6 should be added to read to one of the to the new substitution and reads as 5 as the last paragraph. That monitoring function should not be lost. because audit takes place.
47.
No, it's in the bill. In the bill as it is, it says the employer shall monitor the noise, dust, vibration levels, and other hazards as recommended by the risk assessment in the workplace. Now, in the substitution, the word monitoring has been omitted. We have replaced only with the assessment and audit. Now, audit takes place after 12 months. So the monitoring function should not be lost. And I'm proposing that we retain this and add into the new clause as the last paragraph, so that we don't lose that.
Chair.
I concede.
AG.
Yeah, the proposal beefs up the obligation on the employer. I concede.
Minister.
Right, Honorable Speaker, we concede.
I put a question that clause 6 be substituted with clause 47 as substituted as proposed by the chair with amendment from Honorable Dur Naif Jonathan. Those in favor say on the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
New clause.
New clause.
Madam Chairperson, there is insertion of new clause after clause 6. The bill is amended by inserting immediately clause 6 the following. Insertion of section 55A in the Principal Act. The Principal Act is amended by inserting immediately after section 55 the following. 55A, first aid needs assessment. 1. An employer shall, once every 3 years, prepare and submit to the Commissioner for approval a first aid needs assessment as prescribed by regulations made under this Act. 2. A person who contravenes subsection 1 commits an offense and is liable for conviction to a fine not exceeding 1,000 currency points or a term of imprisonment not exceeding 2 years or both. For purposes of this section, first aid needs assessment means an assessment carried out by the safety and health practitioners of the first aid needs of a workplace. Justification: to impose an obligation on an employer to carry out first aid needs assessment which is informative of the first aid needs for workers as a result of injury resulting at workplace.
Jonathan, you have something?
Chair, my only problem is that this proposal seems to suggest that there are different first aid needs for injuries. That should be standard. And the minister, first aid, people can have different sets of injuries. You cannot predict that it is going to be their fingers today or the head. So the first aid is a generalized response mechanism. So the minister, by regulations, must be able to prescribe that in this facility, these are the first aid. You don't need to do an assessment on that particular one. So maybe
they should set the minimum requirements.
Yes, minimum requirements prescribed.
Yes.
So that is not left like first aid is something that can be weighed in a different situation. I don't know if the.
So you make the amendment.
No, since it's a new insertion, and we have said that the minister has powers to make regulations, so we don't need to make any provision.
Any provision to it. AJ?
I'm still struggling to understand what Honorable Jonathan Odul is trying to say, because the wording here is first aid needs assessment. You assess your needs based on the possible risks. And each workplace presents different possible risks to life. That's why there is a catchword, assessment.
AG, my point is that first aid is a standard response mechanism to either a medical emergency or you could call it a fire, etc. So must it be carried on a case-by-case basis? It shouldn't. Every workplace where it should be standardized, there must be some minimum. You must have oxygen, you must have maybe this and this and this in place at every workplace. That's what I was saying. But if you think it's different, I have no issue. I was just trying to...
And yes.
Madam Chair, I think the AG is correct because every workplace differs. For example, schools, if you have a tall building, you are supposed to have a slide. But if you have a nursery school, you don't need. So every workplace, the first aid needs differs.
The heading of the new proposal is a first aid needs assessment.
And I agree with the AG's position.
Yes, Mubende.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, what this wants to address is the fact that every workplace assesses the first aid needs. And when we talk about the audits, that is what the audits will be looking out for. So every workplace does its assessment, and then they are asked the basis on which they stood to decide that this is the first aid kit that we shall have at this particular workplace. Thank you.
Doctor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I tend to agree with the Honorable Odur because assessment of the first aid, the needs there is not the work of the employer. It may even underassess actually. So the standard is set by the minister, and what the worker has to do is comply with the needs as assessed by the minimum standard set by the minister.
So what amendment do you want us to make? You want to reject this new amendment? The needs assessment? Yes.
The gender minister can help us. I thought all this will fall under the risk management plan of any given workplace. We don't have to now start citing first aid, then response, then this. All that, each and every workplace is meant to have a very bigger plan that will cover ABC, response, and all that. So with our little knowledge, we have a better word other than citing out as first aid needs assessment. Thank you.
Chair. Madam Chair. Madam Chair.
Yes, Santa.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, may I stand here to support the position of the Attorney General? Because each and every workplaces have different settings and standards that must be followed. He gave an example of a nursery school and the other. But we are looking at, we are in the information age. The assessment that we need, for example, where we have computers and these very serious technological equipment might be different from others. So even Parliament is different. So the assessment must be across board and the standard must be prescribed differently depending on the different workplaces, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Chair. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Chair. Thank you.
Let me hear from your lob first.
Right, Honorable, I think we are struggling with wording here. Some of the things being mentioned by colleagues do not amount to first aid. You know, there is precautions which ought to be in place in different work settings. That's not first aid. To aid escape, for example, tall building, whatever the case might be, that's health precaution, which is taken care of differently. If it is a swimming pool, for example, do you have floaters? Do you have rescuers? That's not first aid. That's precaution. Yeah, those are precautionary measures that have got to be in place. So I think we are mixing these things up. So first aid is standard in the sense that it is first aid. It's not, you go to a hospital to get specialized treatment. When you have an issue with the eyes, you go to an eye specialist.
Precaution versus first aid.
Yeah, the two are totally different.
Totally different.
Right, Honorable, I wish to concede because now it is clear first aid is after the fact.
Yes.
While precaution is pre.
Pre.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, first aid needs vary depending on the workplace activities and location. E.g., work over water can cause drowning, while work in mines can cause suffocation. So an employer or the owner of the business must assess their risks based on what they are doing and where they are.
That's
Chair.
Precaution. Clause 7.
Chair.
Clause 7.
Meaning we have rejected, the other one is rejected. Clause 7.
Madam Chairperson, Clause 7, amendment of Section 69 of the Principal Act. Clause 7 is amended in the proposed paragraph B by substituting for the words is at rest or landing. The phrase comes to a complete stop at the designated landing. Justification. The provision was made in error and it is contrary to the practice where the gate of a cage should only open when the cage is at complete rest as a safety precaution.
AG. Honorable Odur.
I concede.
Minister.
We concede.
I put a question that clause 7 be amended as proposed. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 7 as amended.
I put a question that clause 7 as amended stands part of the bill. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 8.
Clause 8, Chair.
Madam Chairperson, Clause 8, amendment of Section 71 of the Principal Act. Clause 8 is amended by substituting for paragraph A the following. A, by substituting for subsection 2 the following. 2, a lifting gear used to lift loads shall not be used unless a certificate of examination has been obtained from the manufacturer or a person authorized by the manufacturer. B, by inserting immediately after paragraph A the following. By inserting immediately after subsection 2 the following. 2A, a lifting gear shall be annealed in accordance with the safety and health risks assessment under section 47(3). C, by substituting for paragraph B the following. B, by substituting for section 3 the following. 3, notwithstanding subsection 2A, a rope or a rope sling shall, unless the rope or the rope sling is of a class or description exempted by the Commissioner by notes in the Gazette, be annealed at least once every year, or, in the case of chains used in connection with molten slag, once every 6 months. Justification. To remove the limitation of having only lifting gears which lift loads exceeding 50 kilograms being tested and examined, and ensuring that all the lifting gears used are in good state and safe for use.
Jonathan. AG. Minister.
Right Honorable, we concede.
Thank you, AG.
Right Honorable, Just give me 1 minute. I'm trying to get the meaning of the word anneal before I concede. What does
It means to strengthen.
Okay, I concede.
I put a question that clause 8 be amended as proposed. Those in favor say aye, and the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 8 as amended.
I put a question that clause 8 as amended stands part of the bill. Those in favor say aye, and the contrary nay. I put a question that clause 8 as amended stands part of the bill. Those in favor say aye, and the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 9.
I put a question that clause 9 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say aye, and the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 10.
Chair.
Madam Chair, Clause 10, amendment of Section 73 of the Principal Act. Clause 10 is amended by substituting for the proposed Section 73 the following. 73, training and certification of persons who operate machines, plant, and equipment. A person shall not operate any machine, plant, and equipment unless the person is trained and certified to operate the machine, plant, and equipment as prescribed by the regulations made under this Act. An employer shall not engage a person to operate a machine, plant, and equipment who is not trained and certified. A person who contravenes subsection 1 or 2 commits an offense and is liable on conviction to a fine not exceeding 1,000 currency points or to a term of imprisonment not exceeding 2 years or both. Justification: to ensure that machinery and equipment used at the workplace is operated by a trained and qualified person.
Honorable Doctor.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. The phraseology, I have a problem with the phraseology because it assumes that somebody must have been trained already to operate that equipment.
Yes.
But there are new equipments that come from time to time. We can say before he's trained. Before he's trained, because if the equipment is new, that person can be trained and then starts to operate it. But the previous phraseology presupposes that somebody must have got that qualification, that training, before even this machine has been invented. So because of advancements in technology and very many things being invented, coming on board, and they can be used, somebody can be trained before using the machine, not having been presumed to have been trained. That is what I'm saying.
Yes, Alebto.
Madam Chair, I have issues with subsection 3 about the currency points. Looking at the 1,000 currency points and the imprisonment of 2 years or both, I think looks to be a bit high, considering that if they're using the person who is not trained, and for example, the machine gets spoiled, that burden goes to the employer. It goes to the employer, although it might also pose the health hazard to the person who is operating it. But I feel like the currency point is really high and could be reduced to half of this, which would amount to 500.
I thought that would help you recruit trained people. People who are knowledgeable, who can be trainable. Yes, Aisha.
Chair, I was just counter-arguing with Honorable Olume. What he's saying is of no consequence here. It is well phrased. A person shall not operate any machine, plant, and equipment unless the person is trained. It is well constructed. You cannot say before the person is trained. That would be different. I don't know. The law, I know it is well constructed. Unless the person is trained. It all means, Chair, that no person that is not trained can operate a machine. So once you bring in a machine, you were under obligation to train the person. It's
Honorable
well.
members, I want to refer you to section 73 on training. There is already an aspect of training provided for in the law. Yes, AJ? The issue of training is not an aspect, it is already provided for.
Right Honorable, I believe the phrasing, the clause, the wording in every way is spot on.
Pardon?
I believe the wording of this clause is spot on. All 1, 2, and 3 are perfect. I pray that we carry them as they are.
In the bill. Minister?
Right Honorable Speaker, we concede.
Yes, you want to make an addition?
Madam Chair, in the parent bill, the Principal Act, the bill mandates the minister under specific types of machines to demand and require training of the operators. In the proposal, they have opened up to any machine,
yes,
any equipment,
yes,
and you have to be trained and certified. But there is no space for on-the-job training where there's no certifications. So how do we capture? Because there are many people who are employed and
but before you're qualified, will you be able to operate that machine?
Depending on the type of professional area, you can have people who are trained as apprentices and they don't undergo certification as required by the bill. So how do we address?
Now, that is provided for under education.
It's still unclear.
Right Honorable,
very strict.
If I may depart from
remember,
my
this one is on safety. No.
Right
Yes.
Honorable, my colleague has used the word apprentice. I do not think in this case, the bill we are looking at, an apprentice is a learner, is a student doing clerkship or internship, okay? Now, in terms of health, you are not going to get a student and consider him an employee for purposes of this act. One says a person shall not operate a machine, plant, or equipment unless that person is trained and certified. So you do not have to be an apprentice. You must be trained.
Maybe I could just get to know what is the bill is on what? What is the bill on? Occupational hazards, safety, and health. Meaning you're already working. You're working. So we are now mining about your health, your safety. You get it, Yes. We are not now teaching you.
But they may bring new machines.
We are now not teaching you. If they bring machines, you'll be trained to use those machines. Yes.
My concern is for the demand for certification, because there are people who are going to be trained across the work field of Uganda who do not necessarily receive certificates for their training. So I'm saying, how do we include them? Because they have been trained either on the job or through apprenticeship, but they have gained the skills, but they do not have the certificates. How do we cater for them? Thank you.
I thought that was a product of education and certification. That's a product of education and certification. You get it, They have already approved.
Right Honorable Chair, I'm looking at the report for last year.
So are we going to ask the minister to come with a curriculum? Yes, you're reading what?
Right, Honorable Chair. I'm looking at the report for last year. Out of the 1,000 accidents we had, 997 accidents were caused as a result of untrained operators. Then we must also require employers train their employees. Apprentices are not supposed to be employed as machine operators. They are there to learn, not to operate machines.
Honourable members, I put a question that clause 10 be amended as proposed.
Right, Honorable Chair, this is when we are talking about workplace, as if we are limiting it to an industrial setting. Let's assume you are in a medical facility and you are operating an X-ray. An X-ray, those machines and etc. Some of them can also be dangerous. Are they saying that this ministry can actually prescribe the training and certification required?
No, they can't.
Yeah, so this clause 10 should actually be deleted. I'm moving an amendment that should be deleted.
Wait. Clause 10 of the bill is on training of machine, plant, and equipment operators. And it says the minister may make regulations for the training and certification of machines, plant, and equipment operators.
So,
that is where. That's what Honorable Dur is saying. We should what? We should delete. Yes.
Chair, I think the problem is that in the parent law, 73 was talking about training of crane drivers. So in mind, we've been talking about crane drivers. But when they made the amendment, they are now talking general about machines, operators.
Where does the minister get how can the minister certify?
Yes, I agree. I agree with the amendment in wholesome as far as crane drivers are concerned. But their heading does not have crane drivers. Their heading is general for machines, equipment, training, and certification. So the problem is with the heading. If you put back the heading for crane drivers, all the amendment is perfect that they made.
So is there any problem with us maintaining clause 73 as it is? From the parent law.
Yes, the parent
73.
law. The parent law was a bit funny because in the parent law required the minister to make regulations for training of crane drivers. And assuming that there are no training schools, there's nothing, the minister needed to make regulations. So I think that was a problem also in itself. It had a problem.
So what is the amendment? Yes.
Madam Chair, what is envisaged in this clause is to expand our scope beyond
Crane
cranes,
drivers.
because there are all manner of machinery involved. And the obligation is on the employer to make sure he employs people who know how to run those machines.
So who does the certification? Yes, Aki.
Madam Chair, the parent law is only talking about one equipment. But now we have expanded.
And you're all standing like you're looking after cows.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We are now empowering the minister to make regulation. That regulation, the training institution must comply with because there are so many training institutions.
Interministerial. In the regulation, she can say certification will be done by Minister of Works, that kind of thing.
Yes, you have really summarized it. Thank you.
Yes, Doctor.
Madam Chair, I would want to concede on training, but you will complicate and constipate work if at all you add certification. Because who is going to do the certification? You are trained to, like Honorable Dul said, you are trained to as a radiographer. A new X-ray machine has come, a new one. So you want the minister to prescribe another course for certification in that. And they are not, and there are many, a multitude of them. How are you going to do it? Which training institution? The training institution may not be around. You are a heckler.
Thank you. Madam Chair, training and certification, the regulations will prescribe who will do it. It can be ministries, but I want to emphasize even a manufacturer can do training and certification. We got new CT scans as a country, new digital X-rays, and there was no institution trained on it, but the manufacturer came trained and did the certification itself. So the regulations will address it.
Thank you. Yes, AG.
You see, to respond to Honorable Rume, would be wrong to separate the word training from certification, because certification is intended to attest or prove that you have been trained. So you cannot separate the two. That's why you are required to produce a driving permit to show that you are allowed to drive. Otherwise, without the permit, it is questionable whether or not you are permitted to drive.
Honorable members, I put a question that clause 10 be amended as proposed. Those in favor say and the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 10 as amended.
I put a question that clause 10 as amended stands part of the bill. Those in favor say and the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 11.
I put a question that clause 11 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say and the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 12.
Chair.
Madam Chairperson, Clause 12, Amendment of Section 76 of the Principal Act. Clause 12 is amended. A. In paragraph A, the proposed paragraph C, by substituting for the phrase kilograms per square centimeters, bars, kilopascals, Newton per square meter, pounds per square inch, the phrase internationally recognized units of pressure. B, by substituting for paragraph B the following. By substituting for paragraph D the following. D, at least one water gauge of a transparent material or other type of approved by the Commissioner to show the water level in the boiler and where the gauge is of the glass tubular type of the vessel is under pressure, the gauge shall be provided with an efficient guard that does not obstruct the reading of the gauge. Justification: to adopt the use of internationally recognized units of pressure.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I take note of and concede with the amendment proposed on Clause 12 for the adoption of the internationally recognized units of pressure.
Thank you, Doug.
I am in total agreement.
I put a question that Clause 12 be amended as proposed. Those in favor say and the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 12 as amended.
I put a question that Clause 12 as amended stands part of the bill. Those in favor say and the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 13.
13.
Madam Chairperson, Clause 13, amendment of Section 78 of the Principal Act. Clause 13 is amended by substituting for the phrase bars, kilopascals, Newton per square meter, or pounds per square inch, the phrase or other internationally recognized units of pressure. Justification to adopt an encompassing term for all internationally recognized units of pressure rather than giving examples.
Doug?
I concede.
Minister?
I concede, Right Honourable Speaker.
I put a question that clause 13 be amended as proposed. Those in favour say and the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 13 as amended.
I put a question that clause 13 as amended stands part of the bill. Those in favour say and the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 14.
Minister, Chair.
Madam Chairperson, Clause 14, amendment of Section 80 of the Principal Act. Clause 14 is amended by substituting for the phrase bars, kilopascals, Newton per square meter, or pounds per square inch, the phrase or other internationally recognized units of pressure. Justification to adopt an encompassing term for all internationally recognized units of pressure rather than giving examples.
Minister?
Right Honourable, we concede.
Thank you.
I'm in agreement, Right Honourable.
I put a question that clause 14 be amended as proposed. Those in favour say on the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 14 as amended.
I put a question that clause 14 as amended stands part of the bill. Those in favour say on the contrary nay. The ayes have it. 15.
Clause 15.
Madam Chairperson, Clause 15, amendment of Section 84 of the Principal Act. Clause 15 is amended by substituting for the proposed Section 84(3) the following. 3. An occupier of a workplace using electricity shall annually cause the workplace to be inspected by a person authorized to inspect electricity in a manner prescribed by the regulations made under this Act. B. By deleting the proposed Section 84(4). Justification to provide for clarity on the duty of occupier to maintain safety of the workplace using electricity. The deletion of the proposed Section 84 is a consequential amendment having recasted the proposed Section 84(3).
Yes.
Madam Chair, I thought the intention is about the energy, the risk resulting from energy. Why do you only focus on electricity? Because we have gas and other sources of energy. Have you taken care of that in other sections? Uranium and all others. Why don't you put all the energy? Coal is very serious, gas and others.
Right Honourable, I want to agree with my Honourable colleague Kanya that we can expand this to include other energy sources that we use in the workplace that could be risky, like gas. There are some workplaces that use a lot of gas, and if it is not regularly inspected, it could cause an explosion and be hazardous. So maybe our draftsperson can reward this in addition to electricity, and add other probably hazardous energy, potentially hazardous sources of energy.
Yeah.
Madam Chairperson, this clause is looking at Section 84, which talks about electricity. But if you go, you will find that they have gas plants and all other covered under the
Within
yes,
discovered
the
under-
Act of Parliament, the Act, the employment.
Because that is electrical
Posh Act.
safety. Mm. Mm.
Chair, on the same amendment, there's a section amendment I thought we could add on an addition, because on most of the other countries, especially abroad, there is a date displayed on every electrical equipment or any equipment, the date showing exactly when it was checked, so that even if an employer is coming to use the equipment, there is at least a tag showing when it was checked, and that is not here, so that he knows that this is an expired equipment which needs to be checked, and he cannot use it. So I think we should include something which shows that a tag must be attached to the equipment which has been.
That is operational. That's operational. Like we have these fire extinguishers. They have to be serviced, and they will put a tag when they last. But what is important is you must have a fire extinguisher. You get it, Chair, what were you saying? What were you clarifying?
Is responding to the issue where they were saying we can add more, but they're already catered for in the Act. In the
Under 84.
82, gas is covered.
82, 83, 84 is provided for. That is what? So you okay?
I'm glad the chair has clarified. I concede.
Minister?
Right Honorable, we are in agreement.
I put a question that clause 15 be amended as proposed. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 15 as amended.
I put a question that clause 15 as amended stands part of the bill. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 16.
Chair 16.
Madam Chairperson, Clause 16, amendment of Section 98 of the Principal Act. Clause 16 is substituted for the following. Amendment of Section 98 of the Principal Act. Section 98 of the Principal Act is amended A, by substituting for the head note the following: duty of suppliers, manufacturers, importers, and distributors. B, subsection 2, by inserting immediately after paragraph C the following: D, hazardous substance, mixture of substances, expired content, empty containers, or related articles of hazardous products after their use are safely disposed in accordance with the National Environment Waste Management Regulation 2019. Justification to remove the ambiguity to in the head note. That's it.
Honorable Minister.
Right Honorable, we concede with a new amendment clause on clause 16 to remove the ambiguity on the head note and address the disposal of hazardous substances.
Thank you. Maggie? Yes. Honorable members, when you're looking at the bill, you should also be able to look at the Parent Act. And what is being done here, they are only adding the D. Adding, yes?
Yes, Madam Chair. I'm looking at the word related articles of hazardous products. Looks kind of weird. I'm thinking it's supposed to be particles of hazardous products. I need clarification on that.
The wording is correct, related articles, because there are so many, you cannot describe them in one. Yes. Other than that, I am in agreement with the committee.
Thank you. I put a question that clause 16 be amended as proposed. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 16 as amended.
I put a question that clause 16 as amended stands part of the bill. Those in favor say under control nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 17.
17, deletion. Prime Minister, I don't hear you voting.
Madam Chair, Clause 17, amendment of Section 119 of the Principal Act, delete Clause 17, justification to ensure compliance with the provisions of the Principal Act.
Yes. AG.
Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, on this I disagree with the committee. It is our position that subsection 1 be maintained. Right Honourable Speaker.
Honourable members, what the committee is doing is to delete the amendment which was brought, which says amendment. The Principal Act is amended in section 119 by substituting for subsection 1 of the following. 1, the minister may make regulations for implementation of this act. That's what they are deleting. However, the 119 says, 1 says, the minister may, with approval of Parliament, make regulations for implementation of this act. We are maintaining the Principal Act. We are maintaining the Principal Act. It's not anything for debate.
Yes, thank you.
We are maintaining the Principal Act.
Shall make regulations, yes, yes, shall.
Right, Honourable Chair. I think it's important that Parliament is involved in this process. But as we discussed earlier, and the minister committed, I had somebody calling her a good minister. The good minister committed to be bringing those regulations. I think let's enforce it within the law to actually say shall. Yes. So that it's no, you see, once we leave it as may, 10 years later, as has been the case with this Parent Act, you cannot blame her entirely. She says, but the law says may, so I chose not to. So I think let's rectify that, right, Honourable, and make the amendment.
So the amendment in 17 is that we are substituting the word may with the shall. In section 119(1) of the Principal Act. Those in favor say under contrary. Timeline. 3 months.
Yeah, Chair.
We agreed 3 months. Yeah.
Chair.
Yes.
I beg to differ in the following terms. Such provisions are made generally to allow the minister take care of unforeseen circumstances. Remember, in all the provisions we have passed, we say the minister make regulation. So this is an open one. In the event that in implementation, the minister desires. That's why they use the word may, because here we are not specific. Which regulation are you commanding the minister to bring? That does not exist. If we wanted to use shall, we are going to use it where we have expressly provided that this regulation. This is a generalized regulation. So you cannot say shall. when you don't know which regulations you are requiring. But the approval of Parliament, it's okay. So that. No,
Members,
Chair.
listen to Honorable Dur, because there are some aspects that may not require regulations. You get it, eh? There are other aspects that may not require regulations. That's why he's maintaining May. Okay.
Right, Honorable, I do hear him. You see, the thing is, if you're taking care of an aspect within the law, then there's no need for the regulation at all. So I think where my brother is saying that for us to have shall, then we should have mentioned that within the act. So why bring a regulation if it's already taken care of? So maybe if you can clarify.
Chair, there are so many provisions. For example, we had said that an employer must do an assessment. I think we call it risk assessment or something. And then we say the minister will make regulation. Now we are specific. There is an assessment. So we can command the minister shall make regulation for that assessment. Now we have done that in so many provisions we have passed. But here, in legislative drafting, you allow the minister some latitude. In case you go and implement and you find that there is one aspect that we have not addressed, the minister may then exercise the discretion to make a regulation. But because Parliament wants to have a say, then you say, come to Parliament. If you make it shall, it is like redundant. What are you directing me to do? The minister can ask you, even here, okay, you are telling me the minister shall make regulation. Now you tell me on what? That's the explanation I wanted to offer.
No, I think we are going to have more discussion on this.
No, we are having an interaction.
Yes, allow me add this. I notice that every time we are handling a bill, when it comes to a point of making regulations, there's a push and pull. And the mischief my colleagues always bring up is that ministers have been required to make regulations in laws which they have not necessarily made. But I want you to understand, just like Honorable Dul has said, these regulations are supposed to be made to put in effect certain clauses to fulfill the intention of the bill, of the law that you are making. But in the event that it is not necessary, then you do not need to make those regulations. Now, the obligation then should be on Parliament, Right Honorable Speaker, to audit the laws we have passed that require regulations. Let a committee look at those laws and see which ones actually are long overdue. Then that can be done.
AG, let me just ask this clarification to the AG, Right Honorable Chair.
No. Just a minute. When you give the responsibility on Parliament, you as a member of Parliament, you know your roles. Is legislative scrutiny on regulations one of your roles as a member of Parliament? No, I need an answer first.
Okay.
Because people should not sleep on their duty, on their jobs, and you want us to do it for you. Attorney General, please, we can't do that.
Madam Chair.
Yeah, I am still waiting for feedback on the microphone from AG. No.
Right, Honorable, I agree with you. I concede.
Thank you. Yes, Globe.
Right, Honorable Speaker. Maybe let me also ask the Attorney General a question regarding this particular law we are dealing with. Does he think there is need for regulations? Because that will help us. And that's why on my end I'm insisting on the shall. If there is no need at all for any regulations in all the sections of this law, then there's even no need to talk about regulations. But if there is need for regulations, even if it is on one particular section, then we must get the commitment of the minister. How? By saying shall, the minister shall bring those regulations. So maybe the Attorney General needs to help us. This particular law, forget about the many which was saying we should audit and so on. There can be time for that. But this one that we are dealing with, is there a need for any regulations?
Madam Speaker, I want to respond to the law, to the Right Honourable Leader of Opposition. There is a need for regulations to actualize or activate some of the provisions of this law. So I am in agreement. My concern is on the use of the word shall. Because we do not know when the requirement for the regulations will fall due. If you, no. Yes, I'm in agreement that we need the regulations. But my humble prayer to this House is that we use the word may. But Right Honourable Speaker, before I leave, Right Honourable Speaker, just 1 minute. When you read the clause earlier, you said with the approval of Parliament. Actually, for me, that's where my contention is. My contention is on the requirement for approval of Parliament. For the minister to come to Parliament for approval.
Honourable members, I am putting a question that clause 17 be deleted as proposed. You know, when we delete clause 17, we maintain what is in the parent act. What is in the parent act with approval of Parliament. And when you look at what Honorable Dur was saying, we can have different regulations. This is a general regulation, which may not even be made. If you have made a specific regulation, which is already required, there are regulations that can be specific. And this, the one we are looking at, is a general regulation for the act, general. So, having a may not infringe on your rights. But what is important here is for an approval of Parliament. Yes?
Right Honourable, for me, I would move to amend by removing the word approval of Parliament. Permit me give justification. No, we are not taking away the powers of Parliament. The obligation would be on the minister.
You justify.
Okay.
Justify.
Permit me to justify. Right Honourable Speaker, I know that in allowing the minister to make regulations would promote. Right Honourable Speaker, allowing the minister to make regulations under this act without the approval of Parliament will promote efficiency. The process of approving statutory instruments in Parliament requires time. For example, the statutory instrument may be sent to a sectoral committee for scrutiny and comments, presentations of a report on the statutory instrument, and that will require time. Therefore, this delay may defeat the purpose of preparing the statutory instrument under this act to address an emergency relating to occupational safety and health of workers. I want you to note, Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, some acts require ministers to make statutory instruments. I need to be protected, Right Honourable.
You're protected.
I want you to note, colleagues, there is an exception. Some acts require the ministers to make statutory instruments with the approval of Parliament. This is because the statutory instrument, those statutory instruments affect the core mandate of Parliament and require the consideration of approval and approval of Parliament. For example, a statutory instrument made under the Tax Procedure Code Act. Right, Honourable Speaker, Odur, I really want you to listen to this. A statutory instrument made under the Tax Procedure Act for purposes of amending Schedule 2 relating to tax laws and Schedule 4 relating to amounts of turnover in respect of which audited financial statements are required. Accordingly, the statutory instruments under the Tax Procedure Code Act relate to appropriation of the budget, which is the core mandate of Parliament. Such statutory instruments cannot be made without the approval of Parliament. But this is different. This does not affect the core mandate of Parliament.
Thank
I beg
you.
to submit.
Honourable members, what Attorney General, you've heard what Attorney General is saying. You've heard? We don't need to. We don't need to approve because our committees may take long with what? With the. No, I'm going to put a question. No, I'm going to put a question. Because our committees may delay, but as a presiding officer, I will make sure that these people don't delay. Now I put a question.
Right Honourable. Right Honourable. Chair, let me make this clear to the Attorney General. And I want Chair to follow. You see what we are doing under Article 79. No one can make a law other than Parliament. Now, when we, the owners of the law, give you powers, you cannot tell us, don't know, you give me the power. It is us to either give you or even refuse it. So what you are trying to do here is to condition us to give you, yet we are the one thinking, should we give you? So it doesn't. I need to respond to you so that you understand that. Yeah.
Chair.
Honourable members, I want to put a question. And the question I'm putting, those who are going to be in favor of AG's proposal, are we together? Those in favor of AG's question of saying that the minister shall make regulations without parliamentary approval because of the delays in the house where he sits, meaning that he's one of the people who delay, the answer should be no. But if you're in for what he says, you say aye. Are we together? I am putting a question.
Chair, what we have, the proposal by the Attorney General is in the bill. It's already in the bill under Clause 17. That is Attorney General's position. But the question is, there is an amendment for a deletion proposed by the committee. So we must first dispose of. No. The committee, we must first dispose of the committee's position. If the committee's position carries the day, there is no need to put the question on the attorney. It falls automatically.
Chair, with your permission, let me help Honourable Dole. The bill proposed that regulations be passed without the consent of Parliament. That's what is in the bill, okay? Now the committee is disagreeing with the bill, and therefore the committee is proposing that clause 17 be deleted. So once the question is put whether clause 17 be deleted, and we say yes, we shall have thrown away the proposal of the Attorney General.
Chair. Chair.
Honorable members, the suggestion of Attorney General, he was giving a justification for clause 17 not to be deleted. Are we together? That is the justification was giving. But I am asking a question on the report. Committee amendment. Are we together? If you're in favor of the committee amendment, you say aye. Because the committee amendment, when you delete it, we still remain with the other one. We preserve the 119. Okay? On the 119 is a may, not shall.
Yeah, but there is a word approval that I want removed.
No.
Approve of parliament.
No. No. Honorable members, I put a question that clause 17 be deleted as proposed by the committee. Those in favor say and the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 18.
18, Chair.
Madam Chairperson, Clause 18, amendment of Section 120 of the Principal Act. Delete Clause 18, justification. The Occupational Safety and Health Board established under Section 10 of the Principal Act is amended to give expert advice, is mandated to give expert advice to the Minister, and so the approval of the board for the amendment schedule is part of the expert advice that they give the Minister.
AG. Minister.
Right, Honorable Speaker. I take note of and consider with the new amendment proposal on Clause 18 to delete the previous amendment and ensure that the OSH board is operationalized.
Thank you, AG.
I'm in agreement.
I put a question that clause 18 be deleted as proposed. Those in favor say and the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
Title.
I put a question that the title stands part of the bill. Those in favor say and the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
Motion for resumption of the House. Clause 1.
Clause 1. That's why I wanted you here.
Madam Chairperson, Clause 1 is amended by inserting immediately after paragraph C the following, by inserting the following new definitions in the appropriate alphabetical order. Safety and health audit means an audit carried out by the safety and health practitioner to evaluate the safety and health standards, policies, systems, and procedures of a workplace. Safety and health practitioner means a person registered and licensed under Section 16A to conduct a safety and health risk assessment, safety and health audit, or any other assessment or audit required under this Act. Safety and health risk assessment means an assessment carried out by the safety and health practitioner of the hazards or risks that may cause harm to a person at the workplace. Justification to define words and phrases that have been introduced in the bill.
Minister. AG.
I am in agreement with the committee. This clause defines certain aspects of the law.
God, you're speaking so softly. What happened? Minister?
We concede.
I put a question that clause 1 be amended as proposed. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 1 as amended.
I put a question that clause 1 as amended stands part of the bill. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Motion for resumption of the House.
Right Honourable Speaker, I beg to move that the House resumes and the committee of the whole House before that. The report thereto.
I put a question that the House resumes and the committee of the whole House reports there too. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Report of the Committee of the Whole House.
Honourable Minister.
Right Honourable Speaker, I beg to report that the Committee of the Whole House has considered the Occupational Safety and Health Amendment Bill 2023 and passed it with amendments.
Motion for adoption of the report of the Committee of the Whole House.
Honourable Minister.
Right Honourable Speaker, I beg to move that the report to the Committee of the Whole House be adopted.
I put a question that the report of the Committee of the Whole House be adopted by this House. Those in favor say and the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Bill's third reading, the Occupational Safety and Health Amendment Bill 2023.
Honourable Minister.
Right Honourable Speaker, I beg to move that the Occupational Safety and Health Amendment Bill 2023 be read the third time and passed into law.
Asumani. I put a question that the Occupation Safety and Health Amendment Bill 2023 be read a third time and do pass. Those in favor say and the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
A bill for an act titled the Occupation Safety and Health Amendment Act 2025.
Title settled and the bill passed. Thank you so much.
Right Honourable Speaker, I want to thank you for chairing this session and also to thank the colleagues, members of Parliament who have endeavoured to stay here till the end of this. And I thank you so much for supporting us.
Right Honourable Speaker, I take this opportunity to thank you and thank the honourable colleagues, but in a special way to thank the members of Gender Committee who are present. My deputy is here for the work they have done, and thank you so much for finalizing this work. Yes.
Thank you so much, honorable members, and thank you for being here for all this long. I know passing a bill is not an easy thing, but we want to thank you for your endurance. I know you're all tired. For me, I can continue. Honorable members, we should be able to finish the rules first thing tomorrow. You should, tomorrow Thursday, we shall finish with the rules. Chair rule, bear with us. We'll finish tomorrow. And then the rest of the time we shall give it to the Prime Minister. I want to thank you, and the House adjourned to 2 tomorrow.